I'd suggest remaining skeptical for the time being. I will wait until the dust settles before discussing what happened during trial in more detail, but at some point I definitely will, and hopefully at that point you will have a better understanding about why I was so confident I would win. And it's also possible that you might even agree that this judgment is simply crazy once you have all of the details. I will say one thing though, the judge found Billy Mitchell to be a credible witness.
And I've been waiting to cover this. I've been excited to cover this all day. I am legitimately hyped to see this. Did you guys know that Karl Jobst is finally talking about his fucking lawsuit with Billy Mitchell publicly on his channel? Obviously, he put out that initial response, which was really bad. It's broken into several segments. I don't think we're going to cover this all in one VOD, because this is going to take me like the entire night to watch, unironically. I think that we're probably only going to do this. Billy Mitchell is getting all of his positions, with the exception of, I believe, the red joystick responded to. And I saw a section called Slop Tubers, and I'm like, no way. Am I gonna get shit for this? I was so excited. It's not me. I found out it's not me. I feel left out, chat. I legit feel left out. But yeah, Billy Mitchell responded initially going, oh shit, here we go again. So we covered Billy Mitchell. We watched both of his response videos. There were some interesting points raised, specifically due to the, like Karl not wanting, I guess, Karl in his response video seemingly kind of manipulated context around a potential settlement. And he also brought up good stuff about the red joystick and other things that happened. And I thought that there were pretty interesting points made by Billy, who objectively is heralded as by a large portion of the gaming community as kind of a fraud still. Like basically a fraud for the MAME scores in Donkey Kong and then other things that Karl alleged. But obviously this scenario has brought a lot of people in to say, like, I just don't care. When you accuse somebody of inadvertently leading to another man's death, the majority of the internet is going to look at that negatively. And also a court of law is going to look at that much differently than the allegations
Nicholas
that you cheated in Donkey Kong.
Thank you for the $5, my man.
So for the last couple of months, Billy has been going on like a crazy unhinged victory lap. And there are people who are like, oh, it's not funny anymore. Billy, stop. But I always remember in the back of my mind that Karl Jobst said, and I quote, if I win, I'm going to be a very sore winner. And Billy has just kind of slammed him with that over and over and over and over and over again. And it's been really fucking funny. He's been moving hot sauce. He's been putting up fucking Karl lost hashtags. Is today going to be the day where Karl Jobst debunks him completely and sends Billy back to the Shadow Realm? Or is this video going to be like a heartfelt apology to his audience from Karl for things that he pretty much got wrong and misrepresented? A lot of people have been calling out other coverage that Karl has done, specifically with the way that he handled Open Hand. We covered an accountant recently who was kind of extremely critical of some of the things that Karl alleged with the stuff that we could publicly see he was researching. So that was like another problem in and of itself. But a lot of people have been hypercritical of Karl and less so critical of Billy because of just how this whole situation went down. So let's see how this gets course corrected. Let's see how we move forward from here. I am interested to hear what Karl is going to say. And I've heard very little about the video, so I'm pretty excited.
Hello, you absolute legends. This is it. This is the end of an era. This is hopefully the last video I make concerning my lawsuit or even Billy Mitchell. When I made my previous video regarding the result of the lawsuit, I was still actively looking into appealing the decision, which meant going back into court was a real...
That was a funny one because he ended the video implying he was going to appeal, and then we just found out that he didn't. He just didn't appeal, and then we heard like nothing about it.
No matter what happens, Billy's hot sauce is still pretty damn good.
Fair.
Like, I get why Augie likes it so much.
I was still actively looking into appealing the decision, which meant going back into court was a real possibility. And for that reason, unfortunately, I couldn't really say everything I wanted to say.
Did Karl change up the music after his loss? I don't remember this track being used.
And I also couldn't take as much accountability as I really wanted to because it may have hurt my case. But ultimately, I did not end up appealing the decision. So everything...
Okay, hold on. Wait, I need to go back.
...to say. And for that reason, unfortunately, I meant going back into court was a real...
the guy, Keemstar Orbiter? Nick DeOrio.
Mr. Oreo
was still actively looking into appealing the decision, which meant going back into court was a real possibility. And for that reason, unfortunately, I couldn't really say everything I wanted to say. And I also couldn't take as much accountability as I really wanted to because it may have hurt my case.
What does that mean? I couldn't take the accountability that I wanted to because it would have hurt my appeal?
You claim to care about rape, and you're hyping up a dude who has a segment on a show called Ultimate Rape Review.
Thank you.
I was Team Karl Jobst for the entirety of the lawsuit, until Billy won and we found out that the lawsuit wasn't about Donkey Kong. Karl truly is a lobster.
Yeah, I feel like this just comes off as like really disingenuous, but maybe I'm clipping this super hard.
I also couldn't take as much.
I've heard good things about the beginning half of this video, so I wasn't expecting to get like sidetracked 25 seconds in. He's saying he couldn't be honest because it would hurt his chance to appeal. Just tells me that he kind of knew he was wrong, but I don't know.
Much accountability as I really wanted to because it may have hurt my case. But ultimately, I did not end up appealing the decision. So everything is now final and I am able to comment freely.
So I'm going to judge this now a bit harsher because he's telling me he was planning on appealing, but he always kind of wanted to say what he's about to say. And I don't know if that's going to make this better or worse.
In the last 2 months, a lot has been going on behind the scenes as a result of the decision. And in this video, I'm going to tell you everything.
His lawyers told him no? No, but all right, so I'm sorry. Maybe I'm not putting this out into English or whatever. You're not following. If he thought he was wrong, why was he going to appeal? Like, if he thought he fucked up. Again, maybe this is questions that are going to get answered as we go, but that's what I'm thinking. If he thought he was wrong, who cares what the lawyer says? Apologize.
Regardless of whether or not you care about the lawsuit or Billy Mitchell, there are important questions that I think supporters of me or this channel deserve to know. For example, does any of the money this channel earns go to Billy? Exactly how much money do I owe Billy? How much money will Billy actually get? Will Billy's win inspire even more lawsuits? These questions will be answered.
I assume number 4 is related to the completionist, right? Because I don't know who else would sue Karl.
Many more. There have been hundreds of videos.
Unless he's talking about in general.
Made about me in the past few.
Is that Null from Kiwi Farms? Kino
months,
Casino.
and thousands upon thousands of comments. Yet I haven't seen or heard a single person talk about what is really going on accurately.
Oh, thank God. You're the one to do it.
Which is totally understandable, because this is a very complex situation, and it is frankly impossible for anyone to know what is happening, because you would need to be an expert in Australian law, you would need to know my exact financial position and what I own.
Okay, can I just ask, if Karl can't, like... Why does it matter if Karl's poor? This is something that did get spoiled for me. Like, if Karl is poor, why is that good or bad, I guess?
And how I run my business, and you would also need to be an
I don't know, dude. I heard the first 15 of this was really good, so I'm trying to go into this with an open mind.
Expert on Australian bankruptcy law. Basically, you would need to be my lawyer, and I'm pretty sure most of you out there aren't. That's not your fault, but rather than having 100 videos speculating or even proclaiming things as fact that couldn't be further from the truth, I'm just going to lay everything out there. I know a lot of people are curious about what is happening, and I am more than happy to provide you with everything you would like to know, especially given that many people aren't happy with how I wasn't clear enough during the lawsuit. So now...
And I like how you're playing off of that, where it's like, yeah, you could have issued a literal response, not at the end of a random Dark Souls video, and saved yourself whatever, like 5 years of legal back and forth. You probably could have just did that. And that's your own fault, yeah.
Now everyone will know everything, and then I am happy to move on.
Oh, Billy
forever.
Wiggler? Yeah, dude.
For the past 4
dude,
years...
the iconic music is back, bro. I don't have to run the music. It's in here, dude. There we go. Hot sauce Wiggler.
I have been in denial. Billy's lawsuit against me...
All right. Okay.
What's the name of the guy?
I have been too harsh.
Nick Oreo.
I have been too harsh. This is what I wanted to hear from Karl. Let's hear this.
For the past 4 years, I have been in denial. Billy's lawsuit against me alleged that I accused Billy of being a major contributing factor in Apollo Legends' decision to take his own life. And I have always denied that, both in my legal defense and publicly. I would pick apart the exact words that I used and argued that I never technically said that. And if anyone did come away from my statements with the impression that Billy was in some way responsible responsible, then it was their fault for adding meaning to my words that weren't there. I didn't want to believe I implied what the lawsuit accused me of implying for
But you did. So we're gonna hear the big but coming.
two main reasons. Firstly, it would have been terrible for my defense if it were true, and
Yeah, because that was the whole lawsuit. So yes, it would have been terrible for your lawsuit about whether you said that Billy Mitchell contributed to someone's death, because that was what the lawsuit was about.
the thought of losing the lawsuit was something I couldn't bear to deal with. And secondly, it's a disgusting and terrible thing to imply. Regardless of whether or not I believed what I said to be true at the time, which I did, and even if the facts I presented were correct, which were that Apollo had to pay a large sum of money in his settlement which put him into debt,
Wait, what?
which were that Apollo had to pay a large sum of money in his
But I thought no money was exchanged, and even the family agrees that.
settlement which put him into debt, I still had no justification for making the connection between Billy and Apollo's
But he didn't have to do that.
suicide. Apollo never suggested it himself, and the evidence doesn't prove
Whoa, whoa,
whether or
whoa.
not I believed
He's saying even if it was all true?
what I said
Well, he's saying it's a correct statement. Oh, is he saying even if it was correct? Hold on, maybe I got him
to
off.
be true a terrible thing to imply. Regardless of whether or not I believed what I said to be true at the time.
Okay, you're right.
Which I did, and even if the facts I presented were correct, which were that Apollo had to pay a large sum of money in his settlement which put him into debt,
Okay, that's worded like a motherfucker, isn't it? Is that not worded like a motherfucker right there? I don't know. Am I the only one who read that way?
I still had no justification for making the connection between Billy and Apollo's suicide. Apollo
Yeah, that's worded like fucking crazy. I mean, he's not defaming him in that sentence, but...
never suggested it himself, and the evidence doesn't point to it. I held on to the belief that I did not make that claim all the way through the lawsuit, and even after the judge's verdict, which ruled that I did make that claim, I refused to accept it. I was fully intending on appealing, and referred my case to a much more experienced and much more
Hold on.
judge's verdict, which ruled that I did make that claim. I refused to accept it. I was fully
It was evident an appeal is likely just... I need further counter from the KC. There likely is ground for an appeal, and they might dismiss the complaint. I can't say the likelihood of success. Honestly, the judgment should be appealed just on principle. It's insane. But this is what... Okay, so this is why I had an issue in the first 30 seconds of the video. He's talking about how, like, well, it would hurt my defense if I was as honest as I wanted to be. But, like, he's admitting here that even when he made his response video and intended on, like, doing this, he didn't feel like he... Like, this is the principal issue. This is the main thing that Karl has to feel bad about. And it's extremely obvious based off of this response that what he said in the beginning really isn't true.
intending on appealing, and referred my case to a much more experienced and much more expensive lawyer for his opinion, and I fully expected him to confirm my belief and tell me that the judge was wrong. But he didn't. He told...
Like, for what he said to be true, he had to have known that he defamed Billy, but didn't want to say sorry because it would hurt his appeal, and the lawyers wouldn't let him do it. But also, he was delusional and thought he didn't defame Billy even after the... This doesn't make sense, yeah.
me that I did imply that, and it was defamatory. And in fact, he outright refused to appeal the decision even though I wanted to, because I simply had no case. Now that the lawsuit has been over for a couple of months, and I no longer have a vested interest in being correct, it has allowed me to finally accept that in this instance, Billy wasn't alone.
Oh, so now I'm literally now just realizing that I defamed Billy Mitchell months later. I've just after everyone told me, and I called everyone else fucking slop tubers and shit, after everybody came and told me about this, I finally figured it out.
Lying, and his lawsuit against me was not unjustified. I defamed Billy. My actions were unacceptable, and that's why he won. Now, to be clear, this doesn't mean that Billy didn't also lie a lot, even in court, and it doesn't
Dude, if this video was like a minute, it would be like the best response of all time.
mean I actually caused him hundreds of thousands of dollars in damages like the judge asserted. And it doesn't mean I didn't also have
Who told me that the first 15 minutes of this video were great?
valid defense that I could have possibly won
It doesn't like okay.
on.
All
But-
right, I'm gonna let it go. I'm gonna let it go.
And it doesn't mean I didn't also have a valid defense that I could have possibly won on. But just in principle, I was at fault. My actions were wrong, and to be quite honest, after the dust has settled, I now personally believe I should have lost the lawsuit. However, I still think
Dude, that's great. That's awesome, dude. Karl figured it out. It only took him 5 years and 6 months to realize that he defamed Billy and he deserved to lose the lawsuit. That's great, dude. I'm sorry. I gotta be honest with you. This kind of... Dude, can I just say, I had so much respect for Karl Jobst. Karl Jobst inspired me, basically, to come back and return to make YouTube drama videos. During the Mama Max situation, his coverage on The Completionist was like, it kind of sparked me to want to make more video essays. So you're coming from somebody who is a huge fan of Karl's content, somebody who's watched thousands of hours of him take down cheaters in video games, and like, I don't even care about the video games that I'm watching. I liked Karl's format. I liked his drama style. He felt like a YouTube drama channel operating in the bounds of a video game space that doesn't really accept people like that. And he was cool to do it. So I really liked Karl Jobst. And I probably wouldn't be making... You'll notice if in the Mama Max video, I started using a lot of this music and I brought it with me into my streaming and stuff, and it was inspired from his channel. So as much as we've been kind of glazing Billy and stuff, I legitimately was like a huge Karl fan, which is why it was crazy when I realized the lawsuit was about Apollo Legends suicide, because I watched all that shit, dude. I watched every fucking video and I didn't know. I had no fucking idea. That's why it was so crazy when I was sitting there, I was watching the judge's decision. I watched thousands of hours of this guy's fucking content. And I had no idea. Okay? And now this guy's coming around 5 fucking years later, after fucking 3 months of criticism, watching Billy lampoon him every single day. And he's like, hey guys, I just wanted to say that I've now realized I was wrong. And it's just like... I just don't. And if you do, that's fine. But like, fuck me. It doesn't do anything for me, dude. It does nothing for me.
the damages awarded were
If I didn't know that this was about Apollo Legend, bro, there's no way that you did. That's my stance on. If I couldn't parse that this was about Apollo Legend, there's no fucking way my chat did.
far too high.
I didn't mean to do the fallen fan shtick, but I had to kind of lay out my credentials here, because a lot of people just know me as the dude with the hot sauce who fucking loves Billy Mitchell. But like, I watch thousands of hours of this guy's content. Every video on Billy, every video on Todd Rogers, every video on the black dude, I forgot his name. Bro,
There's a KFC in Yemen!
I didn't know.
1,000 years of Billy victory. Karl has been forever great.
I'll tell you the one video I didn't click on.
Perish.
I'll tell you the one video I'd never seen. The random Dark Souls video where Karl apologized. I wasn't interested in Dark Souls, so I just happened to miss that one.
Hopefully this result can have a positive impact on the broader community by forcing people to think twice about making claims about things they aren't privy to or have very good evidence for. I can certainly tell you that for me personally, though it was a very expensive and tough lesson to learn, my channel and my investigative work improved dramatically after I got sued. And in the long run, it would have been a very worthwhile experience for me to have gone through. In saying that, I have allowed my feelings towards Billy negatively affect my judgment at every step of the way. I think Billy is a terrible person. I think he sues innocent people. I think he is a cheater and a compulsive liar. But that does not mean I can say and do whatever I want in response. Two wrongs don't make a right.
And this is one thing that I'm glad he said it, but this is not like I'm glad like it's out there. We need to watch his content. We need to judge his content moving forward and see how he talks about other people. And if this is true, we'll never hear about it again. That's great, and we can move past it. But like, that's not. This is not like now I've said it, now it becomes that argument.
Billy can lie all he wants, but I shouldn't let his actions affect my own moral compass. And once I realized I was wrong back in 2021, my retraction should have been far better. Again, at the time, I was in denial and I didn't want to believe my mistake.
I was
What's
watching the
name of
VinWiki
guy
channel,
from
right?
Keemstar Orbiter, Nick Oreo.
Pulling this completely out
Mr.
of video
Oreo.
games, because a lot of people think if you're in one YouTube drama, you get embarrassed, you leave the internet disgruntled, that's it. You can't have a career, you can never come back. I don't think that's true, and it's not true in other facets of the world either. I was watching VinWiki, and I remember there was a video a long while ago, the main guy on the channel talking about how somebody destroyed his fucking Countach. They destroyed his car. Basically, he let this car out, I guess it was rented by somebody, and they had like a catastrophic engine failure. And the guy who did it couldn't afford to fix it, and it was a huge fucking problem. That guy ultimately became friends with the dude whose car he destroyed like 8 years later in life after he'd gotten arrested. Meanwhile, his backstory after he destroyed this dude's car was he was like hosting events and shit, and he became like a promoter, and he was spending money to make money, and he didn't really have a steady cash flow. He was fucking broke, and he was using fucking people's money to pay other people, and he got caught in this whole fucking scheme, and he went to jail or something for like 2 years. And now, the guy's got his whole life turned around. For years, it followed him. That going to jail for kind of being a scammer followed him, but ultimately he was able to shake that off. He built new friendships with people, and he's back to doing what he was doing, right?
I respect you. So, I respect that.
no! What am I gonna do?
Yeah, I mean, like,
There's an alternative reality where we got Karl Winst signed posters pensive face.
my point is, if my really undescriptive story of a completely different community is that if Karl Jobst goes and does good journalistic work, if he really believes he's a journalist over the next 5 years, yeah, I mean, people will eventually forget and let him continue to do that stuff without filling his comment section with like psychotic mean comments about Billy Mitchell. But that's something that he has to go on that journey. We can't assign that to him now based off the nice words that he said.
Nicholas, the goat. I appreciate that.
Rip Rabbit from VinWiki.
Fuck yeah.
Was that severe, so I felt as though making a retraction at all was sufficient, and I really did want the video with the retraction in it to get a lot of views. But it really should have been its own video, and not placed at the end of a separate video.
Is he going to mention how he faded to black at the videos to like trick people into thinking it was over?
I don't think all retractions need to be in a separate video, but considering the severity of my mistake, which I now acknowledge, in hindsight, it really should have been its own video. Even the retraction itself wasn't very good either. I only apologized for making a factual error about the details of the settlement, and I just denied there were any further more serious implications. And I also took the opportunity to continue to criticize Billy while I was at.
Yeah, all right, what he's saying now in like actual English terms is not only he made a backhanded apology where he also kind of layered it on extra thick and implied that he kind of did think that Billy was responsible in some way, shape, or form. At least that's my personal reaction to what I'd heard. It was like, Billy, like, I found out that my information that I had was wrong, but didn't he show, like, the clip again of, like, Billy celebrating at the thought of him dying? Where is the Karl Jobst Dark Souls video?
Would never make such a claim.
And also, it's a chapter, and it's in the middle of a chapter. It's not even its own chapter. Like, to argue that he did this for any other reason than, like, on purpose, I wouldn't believe you.
Unless I had very good evidence to support my position. In response to this, Billy Mitchell released a video accusing me of lying and claimed that no money was exchanged. He didn't provide any evidence to back up this claim, nor did he attempt to get in contact with me to clear up any misinformation. To claim would not pay any money to do so. Therefore, the statement I made in that video was almost certainly incorrect. I sincerely apologize for providing false information, and no matter what kind of
Okay, so he didn't do that.
case, I do have my opinion regarding the
Never mind.
impact of the settlement on Apollo's decision, but ultimately, it was no one's responsibility but his own. The only reason I mentioned it in that video was
He changed it from like, yeah, there is evidence to this, to there's no evidence, but I still think it's true. And you're surprised that Billy didn't find that satisfactory, especially with the placement? Yeah, I don't know. It's a completely backhanded apology. It's insane to argue that like Billy should have been like more kind to it. He's not even, he's backtracking. He's pivoting his position from there's evidence that you were like led to the death of Apollo Legend to like, I think that you led to the death of a Paul legend.
In Billy's response video, he said that I was accusing him of murder, which is of course hyperbolic and ridiculous. So that also made me less inclined to make a proper retraction. Which again is wrong.
What?
Billy is always going to say stupid shit. It shouldn't affect my own actions. I made a mistake, I wronged Billy, so I should have owned up to it completely and with integrity. I also completely mishandled the way I communicated to the public in regards to the lawsuit. Obviously, I was intentionally choosing not to disclose.
I got a question. It's 2020, right? This is 5 years ago. If John Swan made a video right now on his main YouTube channel explaining why he lied about Dream, how would you feel about that? Even if he gave you the best apology in the world, no backhanded shit, how would you feel if John Swan just showed up 5 years later to say that he lied about Dream and defamed him? Would you be like, oh, dude, thank God, I've been waiting for this for quite a while?
What the lawsuit was about.
It's even worse because Karl was fighting for most of those 5 years.
I even said this multiple times, so it wasn't exactly a secret. Normally, I'd give you a full breakdown of this kind of thing, but because this one involves me, I'm going to keep my cards a lot closer to my chest. What I will tell you is that I am being sued for defamation, and the amount of damages being sought is $450,000. I will definitely be giving you updates as we go, but I don't want to give out too many details or strategies before I use them in court.
Yet you sat there and talked about like a bunch of legal shit, which conflated your own lawsuit with the lawsuit that was happening with Twin Galaxies. And a lot of people thought, like, because they were like clips where you're like, this is the thing that's going to destroy Billy Mitchell, and it's all about video game cheating.
Court. Billy Mitchell is referring to the YouTuber Apollo Led.
And I'm confused. If you can't talk about it, then why did you issue a retraction? If you've already issued a retraction for it, why not just put the I'm being sued thing with the retraction? I mean, they're both uploaded on your YouTube channel, I guess. I don't know.
Legend, who tragically took his own life in December of 2020. I won't go into specifics about this particular point because it does relate to his ongoing lawsuit against me. I didn't want to talk about it because what I said was wrong and I was afraid to repeat it. However, if I didn't want to make it clear to everyone exactly what the lawsuit was about...
No, wait, no. Wait, no. What do you mean? You're afraid to repeat this? You could disclose what the problem is without defaming someone again. That doesn't make any sense.
Against me. I didn't want to talk about it.
And also, he didn't think he was wrong here.
Because what I said was wrong, and I was afraid to repeat it.
What does he mean what he said was wrong? He found out it was wrong last week.
I didn't want to talk about it because what I said was wrong, and I was afraid to repeat it.
His whole argument is he didn't think he was wrong even after he lost the lawsuit.
However, if I didn't want to make it clear to everyone exactly what the lawsuit was about, I shouldn't have turned it into this giant public spectacle. The truth is, I did want as many people to know about the lawsuit as possible because I legitimately thought I had a good chance of winning. I was not willing to concede on any issues whatsoever or entertain the opposite viewpoint. To put it bluntly, I was deluded. It's very easy to see this now, after the fact. However, it would be very difficult for many people to understand what it is like to be a defendant in a lawsuit.
It's been 5 years. You know who you should be mad at? Your audience who probably gaslit you without any, I guess, question.
Alone one that was this complex. Again, just because I made a mistake.
Because he's probably surrounded by so many yes men. That's the biggest piece of sympathy I can give for Karl, is all of his friends were probably hyped about it. His chat was hyping behind him. The hate for Billy was so widespread that people who didn't even know him came to support him. Notch jumped in to defend him in his lawsuit by giving him an obscene sum of money, basically a blank check to write out as much as he possibly could. You know, I can feel something there, because when you're gassed up, it's really hard to look past that. And he was definitely gassed up, probably higher than any of us have ever felt in our lives.
Taking what I said originally, that doesn't mean Billy automatically wins. Defamation cases aren't that simple. I don't blame myself for fighting as hard as I did or believing that I would win, because I think that is a pretty natural
We didn't know it was for defamation? No, you don't understand. Karl just played one clip from like 70 Billy Mitchell videos where he said it was for defamation, so everyone knew.
Tendency for most people to have in my
position. And by the way, what does
position.
defamation mean? Defamation over video games? Defamation over... He mentioned Apollo Legend in that one clip that I saw, which was... yeah.
But I had way too much hubris. I took a huge gamble and it backfired. Now,
and dude, this is a crazy clip after like, I wanted to hold my cards close to my chest. And look at this.
way too much hubris. I took a huge gamble and it backfired. Now I look like an idiot. These
No, you are an idiot. Your initial perspective was right. I'm not going to share that much information because I'm getting sued. And then you publish 50 videos on Billy Mitchell.
I took a huge gamble and it backfired. Now I look like an idiot. The situation was pretty crazy though, and is definitely not something you can prepare for psychologically or emotionally until it happens. The entire lawsuit was extremely stressful, and I was
I don't think you're a victim here. You're talking about this guy like he's Hitler.
trying to deal with it in the bravest way possible. Even though I thought I would win, that didn't make the ordeal any less stressful or tormenting, because you never know for sure what's going to happen. I never personally lied about what the lawsuit was about, but I was obviously negligent in some way, given how many people had the wrong impression. My most egregious error was showing news articles about the law.
Yeah, bro, he was pulling up news articles that were showcasing the organization's misunderstanding of what the lawsuit was about. He's pulling up shit that says it's about fucking video game cheating allegations. The news got it wrong and Karl posted it.
Lawsuit and a new
It's just a straight up lie by omission. Yeah, what the fuck?
impression. My most egregious error was showing news articles about the lawsuit and a
What's the
new
name of the
Hold
guy, fucking Keemstar Orbiter?
I'm so
Nick
glad he's
DeOrio.
acknowledging this because this is
Mr.
actually
Oreo.
insane. I actually wouldn't have remembered to bring this up.
impression. My most egregious error was showing news articles about the lawsuit and a news clip which were incorrectly reporting on the law.
Dude, imagine you're getting sued over a Apollo Legends suicide thing, and you pull up an article saying legendary gamer Billy Mitchell sues Karl Jobst over cheating allegations. A legendary gamer who is the subject of a documentary about his quest to maintain a Donkey Kong world record is suing a YouTuber over cheating allegations. You have to realize that when people are saying that you lied by omission, right? And that like you intentionally like didn't show as much as you possibly could have for reasons other than like the sanctity of your fucking lawsuit or like the fucking poignancy of your argument. This is like an undefeatable example of you doing that.
Lawsuit. I thought it made for good content and it was interesting to see what the news was saying, so that's why I wanted to show it. But I either shouldn't have shown what the news was saying at all, or I should have specifically clarified that it was incorrect if I did. And to be clear, I did not search out incorrect reporting to intentionally mislead people. Clearly, showing a clip and not correcting it is misleading, and I fully appreciate how wrong that is now, but at the time there was simply no correct reporting on the lawsuit whatsoever.
I'm sorry. Is your argument for why you showed... First of all, why was there no correct reporting on the lawsuit? Why did no specific media entities report on this lawsuit? Second of all, Second of all, wait, what is happening? I don't have a pop filter. I have no idea what you're talking about. I don't have a pop filter. I have no idea what you're talking about. I don't have a... Where is the popping?
Incorrectly reporting
Other than like the sanctity of your fucking lawsuit or like the fucking poignancy of your argument, I have no idea. I don't have a pop filter. We're gonna just pull this out really quick and back in. Okay, is that better? Yeah, it's your fault. Yeah, it's just like, why was there no news organization at all whatsoever? Are you AI? Yeah, dude. Why was there no news organization that knew what was going on? And why is your defense for showing a bad article that like no news organization had a good one?
clip and not correcting it is misleading, and I fully appreciate how wrong that is now, but at the time there was simply no correct reporting on the lawsuit whatsoever.
Yeah, dude, it's like, well, the only thing I can do is show misreporting.
Everyone was reporting on it wrong. I wanted to show what the news was saying, but every single news article or post about it was wrong. I wasn't trying to do something nefarious, it was just stupid and thoughtless, and I didn't give my audience enough consideration or respect to make sure they weren't confused. And for that, I am deeply sorry. Now, let's talk about money.
Yeah, I mean, that doesn't do anything for me. You sound like a psychopath. I don't know.
The total amount of damages plus interest...
The problem is, like, you should have corrected them and not just put it there. Like, it's like Denim showing the CPS thing, the video from Bad Empanada. Like, you're uncritically boosting people who are lying about your lawsuit in your video, talking about your lawsuit. And then you're surprised when people were saying they were misled? No, the dumbest thing I did was try to defend that because I was just straight up wrong at the time.
Interest in the judgment of the lawsuit was $390,000. In this video, I'm going to be using Australian dollars, but whenever I mention a figure, I will also place the amount in US dollars in the top right of the screen to make things easier for those in the US. The judgment isn't all that I would need to pay, however. In Australian courts, in almost all circumstances, the loser must pay the winner a percentage of their legal fees. Finding out exactly how much I would have needed to pay could have also been a lengthy and expensive process, which would have involved even more court hearings and more legal fees.
I think I'm gonna have a really hot take in this segment, because I see a lot of people. I was kind of spoiled. I definitely was spoiled by chat, but I was spoiled about how this turns out. And I just don't understand the reception to this argument.
So to make things easy, my lawyers reached out to Billy's lawyers to confirm how much they spent and how much they would be willing to accept. According to Billy's lawyers, he incurred costs of $686,000, and he would agree to a payment of $600,000 without the need for any further hearings. And I accepted this proposal, which meant that my total debt to Billy was $990,000. However,
so that's $646,000 US.
However, I do not have $990,000. In fact, I have no money. My total legal fees were around the same as Billy's, and while the public and especially Notch were very generous to me, I still had to spend at least $150,000 of my own money to cover them, and despite what Billy seems to believe, I am not rich. Therefore, because
So this is like my argument. Why does it make him better if he's poor? That's what I said before. I'm like, he's poor, therefore, like, Billy lost?
I could not cover the judgment debt, I filed for voluntary bankruptcy on the 9th of May. The entity that administers the bankruptcy is called the trustee, and it's the job of the trustee to take possession of—
But, like, Billy Mitchell is the guy who does frivolous lawsuits for fun, apparently, right? So if he has money to waste by dumping money in random lawsuits, do you think that $600,000 means more to Billy, or beating Karl Jobst in a court of law means more to Billy? Right? Like, I feel like that was the big thing, right? Like, you conceding via settlement or you losing via decision, that was what he wanted, and he got it.
Of any assets or property they are legally allowed to possess and realize their value, which simply means they take what they are allowed to take and they sell it for money,
Thank you!
which they can then give to creditors, with creditors being the people you owe money to. As part of the bankruptcy process, the trustee conducted a thorough investigation of my financial position. I had to give them all of my bank statements and company records going back over 4 years, which was well before I was even sued. The purpose of this investigation was to uncover any assets that they can possess and ensure that I haven't done anything dodgy. For example, to make sure I didn't secretly sell or give some property to a family member to hide it, or something similar.
Okay, so this is where it starts to be about Lust, because Lust was arguing a lot of crazy shit.
If I did do that, they'd be able to reverse that transaction, and if I lied about it to try and hide it, that would be committing a crime. On the 6th of June, the trustee issued a full report to my creditors, including Billy, outlining their findings and outlining how they have conducted the bankruptcy so far. So in this part of the video, I will—
What's the name of the guy? Keemstar Orbiter? Nick Oreo. Mr. Oreo.
Be including screenshots directly from their report to confirm the legitimacy of what I'm saying. My bankruptcy was a relatively simple one. Firstly, I don't have any cash. I was asked to provide statements for all of my bank accounts, which I did, but the trustee even did—
Dude, this is like... I can't believe like it's flashing by on the screen right now as we watch this, but I'm seeing all of Karl Jobst's financials. Total cash to the bank, $1,800. That's Australian dollars.
Their own independent search with all major
Holy
banks.
shit.
And the small amount of cash I do
Where did all the money go that was for like those huge YouTube sponsorships that he was getting every single month?
have, I was allowed to keep for living expenses.
I imagine they went to the lawsuit.
And before I go on, some of you may be wondering how spouses are treated in bankruptcy. And in Australia, a spouse is not liable in any way, and anything my wife owns cannot be touched unless it is jointly owned between the two of us. Along with my wife, I own 2 properties. In 2015, we purchased a small townhouse valued at $350,000, and then after we started a family, we upgraded to a larger family home valued at $1.2 million. Of course, this doesn't mean we paid that amount of money to own these properties. For our townhouse, we put down a $60,000 $1,000 deposit, and the
Oh my god, so he doesn't own his house.
Way, dude! There's a KFC in Yemen!
Bankrupting the guy who blamed you for a suicide is a massive optics W. Stay mad, Mr. Lops.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know.
rest was covered
I don't know. Like, I'm like at a complete loss for even if he can't pay back Billy the money that he's owed. I don't understand how that makes him like a winner.
by a mortgage. By 2022, the value of the townhouse had gone up slightly, and thus we were able to remortgage the property and withdraw the extra equity to put a deposit down on our new house. And it was a 10% deposit. So while the house was worth $1.2
Like, I'm at a complete lobs for words here.
million, we only needed to raise just over $100,000 to buy it. As part of the bankruptcy investigation, a valuation was conducted on our properties. At the time I filed for bankruptcy, my townhouse had increased in value to $635,000.
All right, so this is just money. I get it, money.
Value of the two properties being almost $2 million. However, the total amount of the mortgages equals
So he only has $600,000. Yeah, that's the
under
equity.
$600,000.
Got it.
In the event that someone goes bankrupt and they jointly own a property, the trustee will first allow the co-owner who is not bankrupt to purchase the bankrupt share. If you go to the Australian government website, it states, where the co-owner is not bankrupt and the realization of the property will
Thank you. Carl thinks
What's
it's
the name of
semantics, so he
the
presumed
guy
everyone
from
else does.
Keemstar Orbiter, Nick
This
Oreo,
one
Mr.
put
Oreo.
forward a without prejudice offer to purchase the trustee's interest in the properties, whereby inter alia, Miss Wong would pay the bankrupt estate an amount totaling $224,000 based on the following
So this is how he keeps his house, essentially, right? Like, this is how he does it. It's above board. He's not breaking any laws, obviously. This is how he keeps his house.
source. And the report confirms they did receive this money. So as of right now, my wife
His wife bought him out, yeah.
owns both properties and they can no longer be touched, which is of course fantastic news. If my wife couldn't source the funds to buy out my share, the trustee would have
recommend
forced us
watching
to sell the
Nicholas
properties,
DeOrio's
which would have
latest
been
video.
terrible. This idea of the
That would have been awful.
joint owner being allowed to buy out the bankrupt share is basic Australian bankruptcy law. But let's take a look at how this was presented on Reddit and YouTube. In my Discord, I was explaining that
My wife will buy me out so she can own it. And keep in mind, when Karl was doing this, in the context of now, it's him explaining it reasonably and rationally. When he was doing it on his Discord, he was like being braggadocious about how Billy's not going to get anything because his wife is buying out all of his property and he's like a loser with no money. Like that was what he was doing to cope on Discord.
wife will buy
And then people were reacting negatively to that because it looks like this sore loser is like having his wife bail him out.
out my properties.
After going on video being like, my wife really wanted that sponsor money. I'm being sued by a psychopath, and I guarantee she doesn't give a shit about any of this stuff at all. Meanwhile, he put her in a position where she had to buy him out so they can keep their home. That's crazy.
And I had a very open conversation about it to a few people, and I thought nothing of it at the time. But the next thing I know, my comments about my wife buying out my property were posted to Reddit, saying that I was boasting about moving assets to my wife before declaring bankruptcy to avoid paying creditors, which of course is not what I said at all. And the comments were all claiming that I was bragging about committing fraud and that I'm a criminal. I'm surprised to learn how many Australian bankruptcy lawyers there are on
Why is he responding to random Redditors, one of which has 10 upvotes?
r/YouTube drama. To be clear, the moment I went bankrupt, the trustee took possession of my share of the properties. My wife bought out my shares of the properties from the trustee. The money the trustee receives is then given to the people that I owe money to. On YouTube, things weren't any better. LUS is a channel that claims to be a lawyer, and just like Reddit, he was calling me a criminal because he doesn't understand basic Australian bankruptcy law.
Karl Jobst, on the other hand, we are going
Dude, all right, so we're past the apology part. This is just a response video now, right? I feel kind of stealth. Like, the first 15 minutes are a apology that I actually don't even know if is satisfactory, but it's better than anything he's released before. Now, like, dude, the video is literally just going to be this for an hour, isn't it? Like, we're going to get an hour and 30 minutes of just a vintage Karl Jobst response video now.
going to talk.
Like, do you kind of have whiplash from the tonal inconsistency?
Saved the best
It's not an apology? Let me speak.
statement for last. Because in my opinion, if this is real, if he
Israel? What? Dude, no way! Sorry.
He was sued. He lost. Then he had his wife buy his equity in the home so he doesn't pay Billy Mitchell, and he's admitting so on Discord. We are crossing the line of criminal right now. We need to send these to the bankruptcy court. We need to send this video to the bankruptcy court.
So this was Lus going fucking way over the top.
I need to get in touch with the bankruptcy court and let them know what's going on. Because if this is real and this is not sarcasm, there are many.
I gotta say, I watched Lus's response video, and he does a horrible job explaining why he said this. But yeah, no, I would say definitely, especially now understanding after Karl explained bankruptcy court in Australia to us. Granted that everything has to be like correct, but it sounds like Lus made a massive overcommitment on this, and of course.
And you know what else is massive?
Okay, there we go.
Things that Karl said that he could end up in jail. Forget
he A-logged too close to the sun, yeah.
Owing a bunch of money. What Karl was doing, trying to hide assets, is actually criminal.
It really should be. That's my biggest cope is that probably should be criminal. I mean, that sounds like an insane... Like, he's in, like, the best place possible that he could have gotten sued.
Followers actually did report me to the Australian government. I know this because the bankruptcy trustee told me. But of course, nothing happened because I didn't do anything wrong, and everything that I explained can be found in 2 seconds on the Australian government website. I would like to give these people the benefit of the doubt.
If only you guys spent those 2 seconds to better research your situation with the completionists. There wouldn't be so many holes through your accounting.
Out though. And I don't...
obviously, I don't agree with Lus's fucking extreme overreach.
Think they were all acting in bad faith. When I covered the completion...
It seems like 2 seconds would be like 2 seconds of research is like the new thing now. If you just do 2 seconds of research, your videos would be significantly better. And nobody can seem to beat that.
I also recommended that people should report the charity to the relevant authorities.
It's kind of bad that Lus, who said he was a lawyer, got this. Are we just doubting his credentials now? Until I've seen anything that says Lus isn't a lawyer, I don't know where that's coming from.
So I don't blame anyone for that, and it would be extremely hypocritical for me to chastise someone for reporting what they believe to be a crime. But of course, it does upset me to see so many people believe misinformation, whether intentional or not. And
yeah, I'm pretty sure Billy really hated it that people were saying and are still saying that he was responsible for Apollo Legends suicide 5 years later, but I'm glad that you had to deal with it in some capacity at a much smaller scale.
To then use that misinformation to form such a terrible opinion of me. At least when I made my videos on the completionist, they weren't just based on a few Discord messages. In my completionist videos...
Wait, why? Oh, this is not. I wouldn't pivot to this one right now. I would. Yeah, it just seems like Karl's getting karma. It doesn't make what Lus did correct, obviously, but it does feel like he kind of received some karma for his actions.
I contacted the charity to get further confirmation. I checked all of the tax documents. I even reached out proactively to some
Yeah, this didn't age well, alright? This video came out today. It didn't age well.
Gamers to work with him to make sure that I wouldn't make an...
Oh no, dude! And then he's like, "Here, Mudahar, lend me your credibility." Yeah, this is a bad seg. We have to just completely move past this part.
To the charity to
this is not
get
good.
further confirmation. I checked all of the tax documents. I even reached out proactively to...
Did he write this script like 3 weeks ago?
Some ordinary gamers to work with him to make...
He doesn't know.
Sure that I wouldn't make any errors that I might have...
Boy!
Made if I did everything myself. The idea of just...
Dude, it's like I did tons of research. I even reached out to some ordinary gamers, Mudahar, on YouTube.
Looking at a Discord message and thinking that says anything about reality is pretty ridiculous.
Wait, whoa.
A Discord message and thinking that says anything about reality is pretty ridiculous.
But the Discord message is you, and you saying that. Now, I think thinking something about it and then going out there and saying that you're committing fraud is a completely different thing. Basing an allegation of fraud off of a Discord message, I think, is too far. But I think people can think it based off of this. You were kind of being pretty braggadocious about how you were trying not to pay Billy.
It's kind of shocking that people actually take these...
I am not shocked that people thought this based off these messages. Even after everything you showed me, the average r/YouTube drama person... They're going to get this every single time. It's your own fault for writing it that way.
things seriously. The only other asset that the trustee took possession of is my share of the company that runs this YouTube
Hey, Diesel Patches, hope you're doing well.
channel. Most YouTubers of my size will create a company for their YouTube channel, so the money earned by this channel doesn't go to me directly. It goes to the company. So this answers the question of whether or not the money earned by this channel goes to Billy. No, it doesn't. Billy did not sue the company, nor does he have any ownership. No, it doesn't. Billy did not sue the company.
This is like lol cow shit now.
Channel
Wow.
goes to Billy. No, it doesn't. Billy did not sue the company.
This is actually nuclear levels of cope. This is actually like, this is like Brad Tasted Music filmed this on OBS, but he scripted it. That's actually insane.
Nor does he have any ownership or interest in it. Billy can only take money from me as an individual, and only if I earn over a certain amount, which I will explain in a moment. The company...
I think like he's not realizing that Billy winning was scalping him publicly and destroying his credibility. Does he, like, has that not like he just figured out last week, I guess, apparently, that like he defamed Billy Mitchell, which is great, but he still hasn't figured out that scalping him and destroying his credibility was the entire intent of the lawsuit.
It was jointly owned by me and my wife, and as with my properties, with my wife being the co-owner, she was invited by the trust.
He would be fine. If he was fine, he wouldn't have to make this video. If things were dandy and he was super happy about how it was going, he just would never have responded to this and moved on.
Trustee to purchase my share. On the 24th of June...
But obviously he thinks that he needs to respond to this in some capacity, so he spent the last month or so, I imagine, making an hour and 53-minute rebuttal to all the allegations, and my chat's telling me that he's fine?
My wife made an offer
He'll realize in 5 years that Mudahar isn't a reputable source.
Purchased my share for $2,000, and on the 6th of August, the trustee accepted her offer. So as of right now, my wife has total ownership of the company that owns this channel. So neither Billy nor the trustee has any claim over it or its...
Dude, you know what actually would fucking kill? Imagine if Karl gets divorced. Dude, imagine after this fucking villain monologue. Unironically, Karl sounds like the villain in this story. It's insane. After this villain monologue about how he won't have to pay for the repercussions of his actions that he admits that he did, imagine if it ends with him getting divorced. Holy fuck, that would be so funny.
Its earnings. And you might be wondering why she could buy my share so...
I mean, dude, he literally went from the hero to the villain. He's like, hey, dude, I did defame that guy, and guess what? He'll see none of the money that he is owed from me. I won.
cheaply. It's
yeah, I did slander that guy.
because owning a share in a company...
Yeah, I did just hand the guy that I hate his biggest W in his entire career.
doesn't really...
But guess what, dude? He's not getting my YouTube channel.
Really mean much if the company isn't making a profit. In order for a share to have any value to an owner, the company needs to make a profit so that it can pay a dividend. In the case of the company that runs this channel, it won't be making a profit for the foreseeable future. This is because all earnings will be redistributed through wages and expenses. Therefore, buying the share would be a complete waste of money to any potential buyer, as the owner would see zero returns. The company has 2 employees, me and my wife. It's been that way since the company's inception in 2020. And for that entire time, we have both received an equal wage. Instead of me just telling you what my
I feel like speaking out loud like this shows some Okay, so the reason why I don't think this could ever have malice that's used in court is this is all legal. That's what he's arguing right now. It's like, yeah, this sounds like some fucking fraud shit that would happen in the United States, but I can brag about it because it's legal where I live. So no, I don't think there'd be malice here. It just shows that he was like, there's one thing his lawyers probably were good for was protecting him in the event that he lost, or at least advising him on what to do.
Wage was, I will read from the official report by the trustee, who again did a full investigation of my financial position over the past several years. The bankrupt has disclosed his interest in 1 ordinary share in Karl Jobst Gaming.
Dude, some ordinary share.
Proprietary Limited. Records filed with ASIC verify the bankrupt holds 50% of the company's shares on issue. The bankrupt is a former director of the company and is employed by it. The company...
legal doesn't mean it's not criminal? I mean, for the most part, it kind of does. If this is all legal and above board, yeah, then it's probably not criminal. No.
operates inter
No, I mean, yeah, that's pretty, yeah, no, I'm pretty sure that's what that means.
alia, the
If this is all legal and above board to do, I would say, yeah, it's probably not criminal.
YouTube channel Karl
Morally criminal. Fuck, this isn't about morality. This is the one time. It's not about morality.
Jobst, established on the bankrupt's
That's exactly what it means, actually. What the fuck?
personal image. As noted in section 4.7 above, the bankrupt has disclosed a reduction of income from $150,000
Yeah, if this went through court, dude, it's over, guys. I'm sorry, you can't cope through this one. Even if you're on the other side, you can't cope through this one. They investigated him and they found he did nothing wrong, right? I mean, surely that, like, I'm taking his word for it, right? But like, if they investigated him, it's over. Yeah, this is what happened, guys.
to $80,000 on his bankrupt form and advised this is attributable to the reduced cash flow of the company. Based on historical records, we initially deemed the bankrupt's estimated income pursuant to Section 139Y of the Act to be $150,000, and as such may be liable for income contributions totaling $14,000 for the first year of his bankruptcy. The bankrupt has disputed this, and we are further assessing the information provided. Here, the trustee looked at the last several years
Yeah, again,
of
I don't know
personal
anything
income
about
from
fucking.
the company.
All right, we're gonna move past. I understand what's happening here. So what he's saying is he doesn't have to pay Billy anything. We don't have to sit here and listen through all the numbers. But like ultimately, yeah, it's not like this isn't like malice that could be used in court. This is a legal thing that he did.
However, this improves. At the moment I'm receiving about half the views I was before. Of course, I hope this improves and I will work hard to rebuild my channel.
See, that's the it's not going well thing.
But that's where it stands as of right now. At these views, the company is
Yeah, he's literally seeing 500,000 views now. That's not a good thing. And saying that it's just going to be good moving forward is we don't know that for a matter of fact.
not earning enough to pay 2 salaries of $150,000 plus expenses, so our salaries will be reduced. Certainly, they will be reduced to a level below the threshold where I would need to begin paying the trustee any money. In a nutshell, all of the money that this channel earns
It's like, oh no, dude, I can't.
Nicholas,
So wait,
the goat.
so he has to reach a certain amount where he'd have to start paying into it. Like, okay. So his rebuttal to that, and the reason why he wins, is that he's lost so much money, and he has to like
What's the
change
name
his
of the
lifestyle
guy,
abruptly,
Keemstar
and his
Orbiter?
channel
Nicholas
is half
Mr.
dead. Like it's
Oreo.
diminished
The
in
one thing that you should
viewership.
take away from this stream by watching Karl, Brad and Ian, is if you want to have a successful career that goes a long way and to make money forever is to not start a business with your partner.
But okay, so hold on. So yeah, when Karl turned around and said Billy really didn't win because they made a legacy list on Twin Galaxies, you could make that argument. But Karl Jobst saying I really won the lawsuit because Billy can't collect from me because he did irreparable damage or potentially irreparable damage to my YouTube channel and made it so I'm losing so much money, I'm under the legal threshold for where I'd have to pay him, doesn't really feel like a win. Dude, like he's done so much damage to me, he can't collect. I think he might. Personally, I don't know the man. I don't know the man at all, but he might be okay with that.
will go to company expenses and
It's literally like, haha, I'm so broke and destitute now that there's quite literally nothing I could give him.
wages for my wife and I. None of the money this channel earns will go to the trustee or Billy. Australian bankruptcy lasts for 3 years. After 3 years, all of my debts are discharged, which basically means they are permanently erased. And yes, this includes my debt to Billy, as civil judgments and cost orders are considered
So I get it. You're going to be living off of cup and noodle for the next 3 years, and then you can go back to making your money. Yeah.
provable debts and are discharged through bankruptcy. Aside from my properties and my share in the company, I don't have any other
started
Thank
insulting
you.
me viciously on Twitter.
recoverable assets. I own a car, but it's only worth $20,000 and is jointly owned with my wife, so I'm allowed to
It's like, dude, yeah, you think you're going to take my car? Joke's on you. I drive a piece of shit Honda Civic from 2015. There's nothing for you to take from me.
keep it. Realistically, unless something drastically changes, the only money the trustees will get from me will be from my wife buying my properties, which again was $224,000. So out of that money, how much will Billy get? Well, first, we need to consider trustee remuneration, which is how much money the trustee pays themselves. Administering a bankruptcy is very expensive, and the estimated cost for my trustee to perform all of their duties is $50,000. This $50,000 is not paid for by me. It comes out of the money they collect. So from that $224,000, $50,000 will be paid to the trustee. After this, we have to consider the fact that Billy...
All right, let's get the main number here.
It means, but I would guess that Billy will receive legal fees somewhere around $150,000.
So Billy is going to get about $100,000 of U.S. money out of the $600,000 he was owed.
$50,000. And given that Billy incurred legal fees of $686,000, it means that despite winning, Billy still lost over $500,000. Now, I don't know if Billy personally cares about losing that money, but in my opinion, this is valuable information for the public to know. Lawsuits are not a money-making exercise. In almost every case,
This is just so bizarre.
unless you're suing a huge company or suing someone you know is very rich, the only people who make money are the lawyers. When Billy sued me back in 2020...
But like, Billy is known for suing everyone. And he's probably sunk more than that into other lawsuits. He probably lost more money than that in the Twin Galaxies lawsuit, no? I just don't really understand the cope from Karl here.
My net worth was less than $100,000, and he sued me for $450,000. In Australia, you simply cannot get more than what someone has in a civil lawsuit.
Yeah, this was never about them. Billy's like the Joker setting the stack of money on fire.
There was never, ever any potential universe that ever could have existed where Billy didn't lose a lot of money. The outcome that eventuated was basically his...
No, but he scalped you in front of your whole audience and made you look like a lying fraud. The guy who calls other people out for being a lying fraud went up against Billy Mitchell, a dude who's literally never won a lawsuit before, and he literally took you out as like the first one. I feel like he needs to come to terms with this at some point, right? Like, this was the time to do it, but kind of acknowledging that, like, the defeat with a bit more grace would have probably gone a long way. Ultimately, I think if Karl came back after that immediate loss and said that part, and then he just apologized for the clip like he should have done from the beginning, I think that would have taken him a long way. But this is, like, bizarre.
His best case scenario, and it was still very costly. With all of this said, I want to make it extremely clear that this outcome is not the result of me gaming the system.
No, I think that's above board. Otherwise, he would have, when he was reported, it would have been a bigger deal.
I did not want to go bankrupt, and I did what I could to avoid it. Before going bankrupt, I made an offer to Billy. I told him exactly what I owned, including the 2 properties and my share in the company. I told him what they were worth. I advised Billy that I could not pay the judgment, and thus I would be declaring bankruptcy. However, I first gave Billy the option to accept an immediate cash payment of $300,000 in order to release me from the judgment. Of course, that money wasn't coming from me, this was sourced from family members.
So he threw away $100,000.
This was a very generous offer. If Billy accepted this offer, he would have received double the amount of money he will receive now through the bankruptcy process, and on top of that, because I would be avoiding bankruptcy, all of my personal debts would still need to have been paid, which total over $100,000.
But do we know if if Billy accepted that, is there a world where Karl goes back to uploading, like, more? And like pushes forward and because ultimately, like, what has he been posting monthly right now? Is he still doing 3 per month? Because he was doing 3 per month plus sponsors. So yeah, I mean, it looks like it. 3 weeks ago, 1 month ago. What is this? So this is his June 26th video. That would be the end of his June videos, right? And then this would be... No, so he's doing 2 videos per month at least. Because he was posting 3 a month, wasn't he, for guaranteed sponsorships back at least like last year. I don't know.
$1,000. However, Billy chose not to accept this offer. So instead of me paying Billy $300,000 and retaining all of my personal debts of over $100,000, I was forced into bankruptcy, where my wife bought my share of the properties for $224,000, of which Billy only gets $150,000, and all of my other personal debts are completely discharged in 3 years along.
But like ultimately he was never getting the $600,000 anyway. because he didn't sue the YouTube channel.
Along with my entire debt to Billy. Effectively, Billy rejecting my offer cost him $150,000 and saved my family $200,000, which just shows how good faith and generous my offer really was. On the topic of generous offers, I was the only party to ever make a formal settlement offer during the lawsuit. On the 23rd of May 2022, I offered to settle the lawsuit with the following terms. I pay Billy $3,000, I never repeat the statements he has a problem with, and we both walk away.
But did you ever were you going to admit wrongdoing? I, Karl Jobst, undertake to not to, except as may required by law in any way directly or indirectly, publish any statements of the nature or similar or substantially the same as... William Mitchell required Ben Smith to pay him a large amount of money to settle, so that's the apologian thing. So you weren't going to ever have to apologize or make the public statement. I'm pretty sure that was like the main thing, right? It's just, we'll never talk about this again. Yeah, you needed to concede. Like, this wasn't a settlement offer unless you were willing to concede, right? Yeah, that's like, and $3,000. It's like, oh, dude, I was willing to settle for $3,000. He took you for way more than that.
Now, you might look at this offer and think that $3,000 is
okay, maybe we clip chimped him.
Not a lot of money. But again, considering that Billy's best case scenario, if he kept suing me, was to lose $500,000.
No, his best case scenario was for you to have to make this video and concede that you defamed Billy Mitchell. I feel like you're really not getting this.
This offer was extremely generous. And if the lawsuit wasn't about money, what was it about? When Billy sued me, I had already removed that
Here we go.
section of the video months prior. I had already made a retraction. If Billy wanted a better retraction or a better apology, he could have made his own settlement offer requesting it. I am certain that I would have gladly made it.
Wait, so Billy Mitchell didn't request that you put a settlement offer into your... I'm sorry, wait, hold on. Billy had to tell you that you needed to retract publicly? Otherwise, you just wouldn't have done that?
A separate video with a better retraction and apology to prevent further litigation.
Why didn't you just do that to begin with?
But Billy...
Why didn't you put that in as part of your settlement offer?
Never asked. The only thing Billy ever asked...
I mean, because I would have laughed at that too. You fucking implied that he got a guy killed. At least that's how I perceive it.
...for was money. A thing that he was never, ever going to get.
I mean, I think he's really trying to frame it that way.
And now it does appear as though Billy is very unhappy with how things turned out. Initially...
What gives you that idea? Wait, what gives you the idea? Okay, I'm very excited to see this. What gives you the idea that Billy's not having the time of his life right now?
He seemed excited that I went bankrupt. He even went out of his way to let the public know that it happened. This surprised me. I assumed Billy would want to keep this a secret for as long as possible, because by its definition, the fact that I went bankrupt confirms I don't have the money to pay him.
No, the funny part is that you were bankrupt. Maybe there's like a different comedy in like Australia. The joke was that you had to file for bankruptcy and your wife now owns your house. That was the funny part.
And I was under the impression he would want the world to continue to believe he had just made a ton of money.
No, he wanted to let everybody know he scalped you into bankruptcy after you talked a bunch of shit.
Billy even tweeted a picture of himself in front of a vacationer motorhome, claiming that the equity from my house will pay for it. He looks so happy here. A new vacationer costs $250,000 USD. That is around 2.5 times the amount of money he is getting.
All right, is he getting a new one?
From me. At least my equity will be able to cover the deposit. That's something.
Yeah, it sounds like you're pretty good at deposits, considering how much money of your house you didn't pay off.
I guess. Personal.
What were you doing with all... I gotta know, what was Karl doing with all his fucking money if he didn't pay off his house? I feel like if you're doing YouTube for 5 years, getting 1 million views a video, on some of these like longer videos, he should be making a shitload of money. Why are YouTubers not paying off their house? Is there something in the finance world that I don't understand? Why is Boogie's house not paid off? I mean, it's a good thing for Karl that it wasn't, but why was his house not paid off?
Personally, I don't think...
Never ever? Are you not supposed to pay? Are you supposed to pay, like... Maybe you have like low interest rates or something, I guess. Maybe that's it. I don't know. I feel like I don't want to fucking pay a mortgage.
Spending $700,000.
There's tax benefits? Okay.
Suing me just to get $150,000 back.
Nicholas! The goat. I appreciate
was a
that.
smart way to get enough money to buy a new motorhome. But I truly hope
I'm
Billy...
sorry, but when you're doing all the, I'm sorry, when you're using your, hey, chat, big paying for enthusiasts here. Are you investing the money that you're spending when you buy fucking Uber Eats on paying for? I watched that Caleb Hammer video too. Oh, I use the opportunity to lease everything and stuff and have my payments mapped out over X amount of years. What do? Are you investing that money into stocks, or are you spending it on fucking OnlyFans models and donations to my live streams? Mr. Financial Gurus in chat.
He buys it.
This guy's like, yeah, I use paying for so I can have more cash flow in my pocket. Thank you for the $50 donation to that guy. I'm kidding.
I'm looking forward to seeing him drive it soon. I don't know if Billy tweeted this because he wants to fool the public into believing he didn't just lose $500,000, or if he genuinely believed he was going to get his money back. But I'm inclined to think it might actually be the second, because a few days later, Billy tweeted this. This tweet is fascinating for multiple reasons, and despite being only 2 sentences long, it tells us so much about how ignorant Billy is. Clearly, Billy is upset with how things are going. So upset that he wants to go crying back to the court. This tells me that Billy really does care about the money.
Okay, I might clip Chimp hard here, but is he going to pull up a clip of Billy, like, trying to file something with the courts? I'm going to let it play, because that sounds ridiculous to me, but, I mean, they could be wrong.
He thought he was going to get, though I'm not sure why he is so upset now. Things are going exactly as we told.
I thought we couldn't use Discord messages to discern things about your life, but you're going to read into a 2-line tweet and say that this obviously means that Billy is, like, psychologically raped by this fucking realization that he's not getting any money. I feel like it's like a complete double standard there, but maybe he's going to show me something.
Told him things would go over 2 months ago when we told him I would be going bankrupt. Maybe Billy's lawyer didn't properly inform him of what bankruptcy means. Billy claims I've engaged in serious illegal activity before and during the bankruptcy process, and I'm very curious to know what he is referring to. Remember, people on Reddit and YouTube are claiming I was a criminal because my wife purchased my share of the house. So maybe Billy has been believing too many Reddit comments or watching too many LUS videos.
Which is funny because that's quite literally how you got sued. So, I mean, yeah, if you can call out Billy on that, that's a good shot. But, like, that wasn't like, because I still don't know what his source was. I don't think he ever actually disclosed his real source, right? The only thing people could point to is that he just read it on Reddit. And that was most likely the case.
In any case, it's evident from this tweet that Billy still hasn't even bothered to learn what bankruptcy entails, because the notion that he could take me back to court is a hilarious one. One of the main benefits of going bankrupt is that it protects you against further legal action from creditors. Billy cannot take me back to court, no matter how much he wants to, at least in relation to the current debt. He can sue me for something completely unrelated, but when it comes to any money I currently owe him, he can't do anything. There are certain situations where a creditor can sue a bankrupt person, but none of those apply here. Again, I don't know if Billy is just ignorant himself, or if he is just relying on the public being ignorant to buy into his antics. However, just to be sure, I emailed the trustee to confirm if I had done anything illegal. They responded confirming they have no...
Wait, I'm so wait, hold on. What is it? Please view the above tweet. I'm sorry for wasting your time. Okay, so he knew he wasn't doing anything illegal. If this is considered a public comment, however, on the face it appears to be a threat of legal action against me for alleged offense during the bankruptcy proceedings. This is obviously a very serious matter. 1, I would like to know if I had done anything illegal during the process, and 2, I do not wish further legal action. We acknowledge your concern regarding the post. Please note the duties of a trustee in a bankruptcy include investigating and reporting alleged misconduct as identified. We are not aware of the serious illegal activity referenced by Mr. Mitchell, nor the grounds in which it would commence proceedings. We are in contact with Mr. Mitchell's solicitors in respect of his allegations, so they might be dealt with. They may be dealt with appropriately in the bankrupt estate.
No idea what Billy is talking about, though they did contact Billy's lawyer to ask what he was referring to, because, as they say, they have a legal duty to death from it, because several days later, he tweeted a cartoon depiction of himself hanging me to death.
I'm sorry. Hold on. I'm sorry. I've clearly missed something. I tried to move up a little bit so I didn't fucking just watch the video straight up.
The public being ignorant to buy into his antics. However, just to be sure, I emailed the trustee to confirm if I had done anything illegal. They responded confirming they have no idea what Billy is talking about.
Dude, you miss like 2 seconds and then everything just happens?
Though they did contact Billy's lawyer to ask what he was referring to, because, as they say, they have a legal duty to investigate all alleged misconduct. Billy was apparently very upset by this, because several days later, he tweeted a cartoon depiction of himself hanging me to death from a
Do we really? Is this something that we actually... I understand this framing, that Billy is actually... You know what is happening right now? He's depicting Billy as the soy jack crying behind the mask, right? He's like, you might find Billy to be funny, but unfortunately, I have decided that he's actually the soy jack crying behind the mask. Hold on, how do I pull this picture up, dude? This is it, look. Karl Jobst is like, I understand that you personally might find Billy as hilarious, but, Your Honor, please look at fucking example C to see an actual picture of Billy Mitchell. Here he lynched me with a soy jack, and you could see his actual anger.
A tree. Apparently, I was complaining about his tweet. Aside from the fact I wasn't even complaining, I was merely double-checking if the trustee had any idea what Billy...
And like, wait, what is the saddest albino of all time? Karl Jobst complained about one of my tweets to the bankruptcy officer. Imagine publicly attacking someone for 4 years just to privately whine like a little crybaby. Jobst is a serious contender for lol cow of the year. Even iDubbbz wouldn't have done this. I'm sorry. I just don't see this as soy. Maybe I'm just completely fucking brain broken here. I don't see this as Billy being like, oh, I see this as like, holy shit, Karl is such a pussy. Look what he did now. Maybe I'm completely brain broken on this topic. I apologize, but like, I'm looking at this, it doesn't look like he's mad here.
To death from a tree. Apparently, I was complaining about his tweet. Aside from the fact I wasn't even complaining...
Like, he's like, here, Billy's really mad, and he's crying. And then, like, example C is, like, the funniest thing I've ever seen before.
I was merely double-checking if the...
Like, this is, like, insane.
...trustee had any idea what...
This is, like, the time that I debated the quartering on whether he was mad. Does anyone remember that's my worst debate in history? I went on the kill stream to debate Jeremy if he was really angry. And it sounded a lot like this.
Billy was rambling on about. I don't understand why Billy would be upset with the trustee wanting to investigate this supposed illegal activity. You would think Billy would be happy the trustee was reaching out so that Billy could inform them of all of the ways I was engaging in serious illegal activity. One possible reason that Billy was so enraged is because...
Like, again, if he wasn't shitposting for like 3 straight consecutive months... of just posting, like, increasingly fucking crazy shit every single day. I don't know. Maybe I would view that in a different context. But it's like one post that you can relate back to the hearing among a sea of just spam posts bashing the shit out of you.
Because he knows that every time the trustee has to investigate some bogus report of illegal activity, they charge it to the bankrupt estate, which means Billy ends up getting less money. And they charge a lot. They already spent...
Like, remove Billy from the equation right now. Imagine if Karl responded to the Keno casino like this. Like, I understand people hate Billy, but like, I don't know, dude. I just feel like this is like insane.
Over $20,000 investigating my affairs for the first time. Does Billy want to spend another $20,000 doing it again? In any case, consider this. Billy won the lawsuit. He won, I lost. Since the verdict, there has been a huge smear campaign launched against me, with many people, including Billy, trying to do as much damage to my brand as possible.
No, you did the damage to your brand. Please, dude. He doesn't get it. He actually doesn't get it.
And it's been very effective. I even had to go bankrupt. But that's still not good enough for Billy. Despite all of this, he is still fantasizing about my death. This isn't the first time Billy has jerked off to the idea of a YouTuber's death either. Back in 2018...
Wait, why did he censor it the first time if he was just going to show it? And wait, whoa!
Despite all of this, he is still fantasizing about my death. This isn't the first time Billy has jerked off to the idea of a YouTuber's death either. Back in 2018, he had heard from his wife that Apollo legend...
Oh my god, dude. I mean, this is what he should... Honestly, if he said this in the beginning, he wouldn't have, like, lost the lawsuit, because it's just an insane fucking opinion. But and I didn't say an opinion. He did show clips that was like something that Billy had actually said. But like putting it in with Apollo's actual death was the issue. It's just kind of crazy that he's like, hey, dude, I defamed you, right? My bad. But you're not going to get a dime from this. And also, yeah, go fuck yourself.
YouTuber's death either. Back in 2018,
I recommend
Thank you!
watching Nicholas DeOrio's latest video.
This dude is such a loser, and the way he speaks makes me want to jump.
All right, I'm going to let this part run just so we
Billy
can
has jerked off to the idea of a YouTuber's death either. Back in 2018, he had heard from his wife that Apollo legend had died. This was shortly after Apollo made his video exposing Billy's cheating, and Billy was overjoyed. So much so that he messaged his friends, saying that he would try his hardest not to smile or giggle, and even going further, saying that he hoped it was true. This is one of the reasons we felt as though Billy shouldn't win the lawsuit, because it doesn't make sense that Billy...
Wait, whoa. I can't, dude. Billy shouldn't win the fucking lawsuit because here are some comments that have nothing to do with the claim that I shot from the hip and poorly apologized for. We're still rationalizing this.
Reasons we felt as though Billy shouldn't win the lawsuit, because
Billy shouldn't win the lawsuit because he sucks.
it doesn't make sense that Billy could express so much joy over the thought of Apollo's...
Dude, imagine if somebody is like a fucking like racist guy on Twitter. It's like, I've called him a rapist. Now, listen, he might have sued me and he might have won, but him hating black people was like the reason why I associated with him.
death.
No, but it has nothing to do with the other. Like, saying that he's responsible for somebody's death and saying that he wanted someone to die at a different point in time is not the same thing. You should have just said that other thing. But you had to pepper it, extend it, overcommit, as you're going to criticize other people for today. And that's why you're getting sued. Well, that's why you got sued.
Because it doesn't make sense that Billy could express so much joy over the thought of Apollo's death and then have any ground to stand on when he actually died. During trial, Billy acted
That's probably what your lawyer said, who lost.
as if he was so remorseful and so regretful that he sent those messages.
If it's true, I will not shed a tear. I will try not to smile or giggle. No promises.
Correct, that's what it says.
And you maintain that that is you not believing he's actually dead.
So is this just Karl being like, hey, I know I lost and I know I said I fucked up, but here's the testimony that lost us the lawsuit. You guys should hate this.
I didn't believe he was dead for a second.
Why on earth would you say if it is true?
That was dark humor, and I regret it very much.
If it is true, the reference to if it is...
I think me and Augie covered this on a stream way back in the day. Obviously super criticizable.
True is dark humor.
Yes, it's dark humor. I regret doing it.
I've also said this a billion times on Discord to some people about random people all the time. So I don't know. Maybe I'm not the person to say.
I guess I really regret doing it because it was true 3 years later.
Is Dark Viper EU a virgin? No, I am not.
Wait.
Why would so many people be Googling that?
Is this the clip that's supposed to make Billy look awful?
I guess I really regret doing it because it was true 3 years later.
Yeah.
I certainly didn't make a joke then.
Were you thinking about how his parents would feel if you were joking about his death back then?
Wait, who the fuck is this lawyer? That's dude, he just got he literally just got slapped by Billy on the fucking stand. Wait, what? Wait, Billy just fucking killed this guy.
No, because I didn't believe he had died. From an anonymous post on Reddit, I didn't believe it.
So you went and texted 2 people about it because you didn't...
Dude, you know what's crazy? Me and Augie just did this about flamenco. I texted, I'm like, Augie, is flamenco dead? Because of like random fucking posts on Twitter. Like, we just did this, dude. That's so funny.
Didn't believe it.
Correct. I just brought it to their attention.
But it wasn't true. Why would you bring it to their attention?
Can I say something to you, Nick? I really like you.
Is flamenco dead? I don't think so. I think he's alive. I think he just quit the internet.
It was true that it was being spoken about on Reddit.
Where does that come out in the text messages? Can you just show me where in the text messages you say that?
On the next page.
Okay.
Go back to page 9. My wife found it online.
What's the name of the guy? Keemstar Orbiter? Nick Oreo. Mr. Oreo.
No joke. When you go down further, it says, he says, I'm looking on Reddit. And I said, the only place I remember she mentioned was reddit.com, which is a red flag for something not being true.
Does it say that?
If it said ABC News, I would have had a different attitude.
Oh, okay. Rightio.
But I shouldn't have made it comment anyway. It was dark humor and very inappropriately placed.
So
then
I'm guessing that there's some reason why we're listening to this. I imagine it's going to be like a contradiction of something. Otherwise, I don't know. This seems like it looks pretty good, I guess. Like his response there seems pretty fair.
When he starts looking online for other verifications of the death, if you turn then to page 10.
And if Billy, like, I guess, are we going to argue that Billy's lying here? If so, like, why didn't your lawyer? I don't know. I don't know. I have to kind of hear this. Let's 2x this to get through it. Because, oh shit, enhancer for YouTube. Boom. Where the fuck did it go? There.
I certainly hope you find something solid.
I thought at first Karl was asking us. No, it's just another Australian dude.
Meaning,
I thought at first Karl was asking Billy these questions.
That you find something on ABC, for example, confirming that he was actually dead.
No.
That's not what you mean by that.
No.
That's your evidence.
Should I read the whole text or would you like to read it?
Then you say, oops.
Yeah.
Was I not supposed to say that?
Correct. Dark humor that I regret tremendously to this day.
Okay. And then you say that you're
oops, that's an indication. Oops. And I regret it. I don't know what to say. I regret it.
Okay. I'm not really sure why this clip is still playing, to be honest.
I sincerely regret it. Especially because it became true 3 years later.
So I'm assuming there has to be a clip where he's just like, yeah, I really wanted that guy to die. Right? That's like, I'm sure that's what's coming.
This entire act was all bullshit, however, because as soon as our trial ended, Billy went right back to his favorite pastime of masturbating to the thought of dead YouTubers.
Oh my dude, oh my god. Oh my god, bro. That's not the clip that would have helped him there. Okay, wait, hold on. Wait, no.
Who have made videos.
No way.
Is critical.
Dude, Billy Mitchell's in my chat laughing. I was like, dude, he's going to show a clip where Billy's just like saying the opposite. It's going to come in here. And all he did was play a clip where Billy explained to himself and I guess like looked as good as you could possibly look at that question in front of like Karl's lawyer, right? And then it's like, here, he posted this soy jack of me hanging from a tree. He very clearly lied during the fucking trial.
Of him. Clearly, Apollo Legends' death didn't quite satisfy Billy's sick fetish. And it even appears as though Billy has upgraded, because now it wouldn't be enough for me to just kill myself like Apollo Legend. In Billy's depraved fantasy, he gets to be the one who holds the rope.
Wait, you're forgetting he also has abs. In his depraved fantasy, he's got washboard abs.
Billy has got to be one of the dumbest people alive. When Billy sued me, I had
Dude, Karl, this is insane. Dude, this guy just had to post like 15 minutes of saying he's sorry and then just cut the rest of this. I just have no idea. Dude, his sick depraved fetish. Dude, you know what this is? This is literally the Bill Burr skit. This is the Bill Burr skit where it's like you have two different reads, right? Your girlfriend could be saying, "No, stop it. No, no, you're so bad." Or it could be read as, "No, stop it. You are so bad. No." And Karl is giving the second read right now while everybody else realizes it's the first one. You know what I mean? It's like, no, everyone looks at this joke and goes, it's really funny. And Karl's like, this showcases. Whereas, dude, I need the song. It's like, here, you see this funny soy jack? This is clear and concise evidence that Billy Mitchell wanted to kill Apollo Legend, and he wants me dead too. Billy Mitchell is a masochist who wants to murder me by hanging me from a tree and suffocating me by my neck. And if that's not enough for him, his killing spree will go on from here. It's just like, I'm sorry, it's a little bit much. You kind of hit me with a lot right now. There's a lot. There's a lot that's happening right now.
Basically nothing. My net
allegedly
worth was essentially zero. I had a tiny amount of equity in my townhouse, but I was also in debt and I had just started a family. Billy spent hundreds and hundreds of thousands of dollars suing someone who had no money and who had to crowdfund their defense. He rejected my attempts to settle. He made no attempt to settle or negotiate himself whatsoever. He rejected my offer to avoid bankruptcy, and now he is upset he lost all of his money. What a moron. And I think I
yeah, dude, you really look stupid here.
No,
Billy looks so dumb in this situation specifically.
Why Billy is
especially in the last 32 minutes. Yeah,
upset.
I was really sitting here thinking, wow, Billy looks bad from watching this video.
And it's because the truth is that Billy Mitchell is not a
Billy in chat just wrote, the shitposting will continue until logic improves.
Rich man. As part of my due diligence, I conducted a search of all of Billy's assets, just like Billy should have done before he sued me. This is so I knew what he owned in the event I won the lawsuit and he owed me money. And what I found interesting is that when I conducted a search on Billy's house, I found out that it wasn't in his name. It was completely in the name of his wife. Naturally, the first thought I had was that maybe Billy had moved this asset out of his name in preparation for losing the lawsuit. So I found the property deed of transfer, which showed in the year 2000, the property had been transferred solely into Billy's wife's name from a third party when she bought it. Except it wasn't bought by Billy's wife. Or at least, she wasn't his wife at the
Wait, so when you did that, just curious, were you doing this research to find out if he committed fraud? Because you saw him move his house and thought it was
good needs to really look inside themselves and be better.
So Billy saw that. Sorry, Karl saw that Billy didn't own his house, and his first thought was fraud.
On Nicholas DeOrio.
Keppel's appreciated the shout out.
Time. She didn't carry Billy's name, and the deed said she was a single woman. This didn't make sense to me, because Billy claims he has been married since 1996.
Oh, dude, this is the Mudaharian lawsuit right now.
Been married for a long time. How many years have you been married?
Oh, since 96.
Does he have that Keemstar marriage?
6. Wow. Congratulations.
Thank you very much.
I've already had 2 divorces.
Dude, if you're debating whether Billy Mitchell is married in your apology, something has seriously gone off the rails. Like the train has driven over the tracks, ascended into a second dimension, and is currently floating through the fucking 60s universe from the Fantastic Four movie. We are so far from where the apology was now. Dude, 15 minutes ago feels like an entirely different video.
And that's marriage is a wonderful and difficult thing.
Dude, Karl looks way different on the top right. What happened to him, dude?
Well, you've achieved something I haven't achieved. Look at it that way.
All right. And Billy would tell stories about how he's been married since the 90s.
I won't lie to you. It was 1999. My son was a year and a half old, and my daughter was 2 years old, or 2.5 years old, rather. And I had the opportunity to go to Japan. And I was so paranoid as I approached my wife.
Someone in chat said I stopped watching for 30 minutes, and the line of argumentation gave me genuine whiplash.
To tell her about this opportunity. But she married this guy who's going to run off and play video games in Japan?
None of this was adding up, and I wanted to know what was going on. So I searched through public records, and they show that Billy wasn't married to his wife in 1996. Instead, they were married in 2003. So if Billy was married in 2003, why would he lie and say that he was married in 96? Well, it's because when he started having children with
Oh no. Oh my god. Wait, what the fuck is this? Dude, okay.
his current wife, he was married to another woman.
Oh, dude, are we saying that Billy cheated on his wife now? Is that the next rebuttal? Is that Bill? Dude, are you fucking kidding me?
Billy first.
Karl's smoking gun is 20 years ago. Billy Mitchell cheated on his wife.
got married in 1990. Then, in the mid-90s, he started a family.
I met my wife 8 months into separating from my ex-wife in 96, and it took a long time for us to reach a divorce settlement. This is just Karl throwing nonsense. I mean, even if this was true, which Billy is categorically denying right now in chat. What the fuck is this doing in this video? Why is this in the lawsuit update? What is happening?
With a woman who...
Dude, it's his argument that Billy Mitchell didn't just cheat in Donkey Kong. He cheats on women too? This is insane.
wasn't his wife.
He spliced his family.
You claim to care about rape, and you're hyping up a dude who has a segment on a show called Ultimate Rape Review.
Dude, Karl's like...
Mr. Jobst, another lawsuit has hit the tower.
Billy Mitchell went on one of the most interesting marriage runs of all time, but unfortunately for him, his run was spliced. Dude, put the fries in the bag, you fucking loser.
On the 13th of March 2003, Billy appeared in Season 4's 7th episode of the MTV series, True Life, I'm a Gamer. In that episode, it shows Billy with his supposed...
I recommend watching Nicholas DeOrio.
Dude, this is how we're talking about Mudahar, his alleged wife. I can't do
wife, Evelyn. The interesting thing about this is that Evelyn wasn't his wife, as Billy was still married to someone else. However, I guess Billy figured that if he was going to publicly lie about who he was married to, he may as well make it official. So,
and it isn't uncommon that people's like divorce proceedings go for a long while and they move on in the process. So I mean, that is like Billy's like defense for that isn't like outlandish. That could very well be the case.
A week after,
why does any of this matter? Because I don't know. Maybe we have to let Karl explain it.
After this episode aired, Billy filed for divorce. And when his divorce was finalized in late September of 2003...
Because you know what it feels like right now? It feels like fucking... every... You know what vibes I'm getting right now? I'm getting the iconic Quentin Reviews energy.
Played his marriage on MAME. Cheaters gonna cheat. S-law.
Dude, this is what it feels like. This iconic Gamer from Mars. Oh, so I was Quentin Reviews. I'm not subscribing. This iconic Quentin Reviews Gamer from Mars parody.
In the past 10 years of YouTube history, there have been plenty of people who have succeeded as well as some people who have failed. And you wouldn't be surprised, most likely, to hear that there have been many...
So this is obviously a video that Quentin Reviews is parodying as Gamer from Mars about PewDiePie.
People to scrape their way to the top of the totem pole. One of the most successful people in recent memory has been Felix Schellberg, better known as PewDiePie. The Third Reich was a period of rule in Germany from 1933 to 1940.
This is how this video feels. It also has like the Karl Jobstian cut to black.
Who is Bunty King?
That's the tonal whiplash going between the segment where he's apologizing and the segment where he's back on offense.
The very next week, he applied to marry his mistress of many years. So that's why Billy lies about his marriage, because the truth is that he had his children out of wedlock to a mistress, and that just doesn't sound quite as wholesome.
I've already had 2 divorces, and you know that's it's a marriage is.
And it's just like, if that's not, if that turns out that Billy's telling the truth and Karl's wrong again. I mean, dude, I don't really like. I mean, you lost. This is just sour grapes. That's the best way I can explain this. He's like, what you don't realize is... dude, this whole video is like... For the last 3 months, people have been saying that I am mad at the internet. Well, I'll tell you something straight away. Nobody is more mad about this victory than Billy Mitchell. I am actually extremely happy with how things have gone, while Billy Mitchell is obviously distraught and sad. And I know this because I am Karl Jobst, and, well, I don't lie. Dude, it's just like, he's literally, it's literal sour grapes, and then like this posturing that he is totally okay with how this is going, and Billy is obviously the angry one.
Wonderful and difficult thing.
Well, you've achieved something I haven't.
Technically in wedlock with someone, I don't know.
Look at it that way.
All right. But what about Billy's hot sauce company? Wasn't...
And And dude, and everyone was mad because he's like, I'm gonna go after Billy's family and I'm gonna go after his hot sauce company. And Karl's like, hey guys, just want to say my bad, but I'm still gonna go after Billy's family and I'm still gonna go after Billy's hot sauce company.
That a booming success after Billy supposedly achieved the first perfect Pac-Man in 1999.
This is just not stopping. This segment is not ending.
1999, he went on a press tour where he gloated about being a hot sauce tycoon that was running a $5 million a year business. According to Billy, the hot sauce company was something he developed, and he still claims he invented the hot sauce to this very day. But this idea that Billy created the hot sauce or the company that sells it seems to be—
Is he gonna say that Billy is like the fucking... Dude, he's gonna be like, yo, Billy Mitchell is a... Who's the fucking guy, let me see. Yeah. Where is it? Here, I got this. Hold on, wait. Yeah. What you people fail to realize is that Billy Mitchell considers himself the Stan Lee of the hot sauce business, when in reality, there was a Steve Ditko in the background the entire time. Actually, it wasn't Steve Ditko. Who's the guy who always, it's Jack Kirby. There was a Jack Kirby in the background the entire time who is truly responsible for what makes Ricky's hot sauce the best hot sauce on planet Earth.
something he fabricated himself. Billy's hot sauce company was formed in 1988 by Billy's parents, and according to news articles at the time, the hot sauce was developed by Billy's mother, Barbara. And this was always the case up until 1999, when Billy decided to start taking credit for his mother's work. According to company filings, Billy didn't even take over running the company until 2003, and by this time the company hadn't done business in 3 years. So if the company was doing $5 million a year in 1999, why did operation suddenly cease just a year later?
Well, it had something to do with 9/11, I'm kidding.
And I suppose an even more pressing question is that if Billy really was a successful hot sauce tycoon running a multi-million-dollar a year business and a devoted family man, why is it that in the year 2000, the mother of his children—
Why is all of his examples 25 years ago?
What's the name of the guy?
So bizarre.
Nick Oreo.
Who gives a shit, dude?
Take out a $100,000 mortgage—
That does explain Ricky's name, yeah.
solely in her name just to buy their family home, the home that Billy lives in.
It's literally just like, hey, I lost to Billy, but I'm going to do as much damage to him on the way out as humanly possible. This video is Karl's dead man's hand to try to like paint. It's like Karl is mad that Billy is being looked at positively by people who like funny. And he's trying to like desperately retool Billy's like negative reputation so they can just both
What's the
be
name
hated.
of the guy? Keemstar Orbiter. Nick Oreo.
Yeah, this is sore loser stuff. Ironically enough, that sounds exactly like what Karl would say Billy would do.
And money was apparently so tight that in 2001, she filed—
It makes sense as to why Karl is friends with Dark Viper now. Yeah, I mean, Karl was going around telling us that Chud Logic would have like or that people would have a good case against Dark Viper, and that he was like, I don't know if he said a menace, but he was just like, yeah, this guy is like a copyright abuser. And then a couple of weeks later, I didn't give him shit for it at the time, he was just like friendly with the dude again. I thought that was crazy. I thought that was absolutely insane when Karl was saying that. But yeah, I don't know.
filed for bankruptcy.
It seemed like he was pretty in agreement with us that we thought that Dark Viper was like a copyright abuser.
Meanwhile, at the very same time, Billy was out there trying to publicly brag about how rich he was by offering $100,000 to anyone who could get past the Pac-Man split screen. So either Billy did have $100,000 and decided it was more important to him to give it to a random person who could beat a video game rather than buy a house for his family, or maybe, just maybe, Billy is a con artist who lies about his success just like everything else. But anyway, back to Billy's wife's house.
Wait, so it's not even definitive? He doesn't even have him dead to rights?
In late August of 2021, Billy and his wife mortgaged his wife's home. This timing is interesting because just a few weeks later, Billy would file his lawsuit against me.
The guy?
Thank you.
Orbiter,
Appreciate
Nick
it.
Oreo.
So it's rather curious.
This is just like insane.
He and his wife mortgaged his wife's home. This timing is interesting because just a few weeks later,
Is
Billy
Dark
would...
Web EU a virgin?
All right.
No.
So
I'm not.
everything you did,
Why would so many people be
people were
Googling
wrong
that?
to look into, but you're kind of levying similar shots at Billy.
File his lawsuit against me. So it's rather curious.
Interest rates were 3% at the time, and we used the money to pay for my daughter's law school. Thank you for the. That's what Billy said in chat just now. And wasn't. I don't know if this is the case. I don't know about the housing market, but like, wasn't 2021 like during COVID like a good time to buy, or I don't know, sell? I don't know. A buddy of mine got like a really good deal on a house around that time. I don't know.
Is that right before Billy knew
I'm out of my element on that one.
he was about to spend hundreds of thousands of dollars in a legal
Yeah, rates were so low.
battle, he mortgaged his wife's house.
I know there was something with housing during this specific time frame.
This doesn't seem like the actions of a man with a lot of money. And when Billy was required to put up security during our lawsuit, guess where the money came from? Not from Billy, but from Billy's wife. Again, this doesn't seem like the actions of a man with a lot of money. This would explain why Billy...
Does he keep going back to this picture? Dude, this is insane. This is actually insane. Dude, it's literally like, this is the actions of like a psychopath. And it's like funniest picture I've seen. It's become funnier because it keeps coming up.
He is now so upset that he is...
And it's even funnier that he censored this image and now just shows it completely uncensored.
fantasizing about killing me. As the adage goes, a happy wife means a happy life. And given that Billy appears to have lost so much of his wife's money, I can't imagine the hell he is going through right
Dude, I hate to be the fucking guy. I really hate to be the guy. But dude, this is like absolute fucking cope. That is like insane cope. Hold on. When people got mad at Karl Jobst for taking one singular sponsorship during the completionist drama, right? Or talking about sponsorships in those videos.
Nick
This was how Karl rebutted that.
Why does he keep bring up Billy being broke and his wife owning everything? Bro, that's you too.
It literally is, but yeah.
What you need to understand is that it's not just my money. I have a wife and son. It's their money too. It's my wife's money.
Nick just started
Hold on,
insulting
I gotta
me
mute
viciously
Jonas for
on
a second
Twitter.
for this. Listen to this clip right now of him talking about the completionist, or the guy, not the completionist specifically, but Mooney, the lawyer who attacked him over his coverage of the completionist.
Just so you know, that sponsorship was worth $8,000. And what you need to understand is that it's not just my money. I have a wife and son. It's their money too. It's my wife's money just as much as it is mine. I'm sure if you asked her, she'd really like to have that money. And I'm also sure she doesn't give a single shit about any of this online drama. But more than that, you have to appreciate the situation I'm in right now. I'm dealing with a frivolous lawsuit from a psychopath. My legal bill just for the month of November was $50,000. I could really fucking use that money right now.
And that's gonna be what that's gonna be the real truth of the matter that Karl isn't telling you. Now listen to this clip right here.
Is to have lost so much of his wife's money, I can't a happy life. And given that Billy appears to have lost so much of his wife's money, I can't imagine the hell he is going through right now. But let's look on the bright side.
Karl, you would have been much happier if you won this lawsuit. You can try to sit here and smile through the pain as much as you want and say that everybody else is really mad and you're really happy. But even if Billy doesn't get that money that was owed to him by the judgment because of, you know, things that are above the law, the things that are like totally in line with what the law says, you just were literally you just literally sat there for 5 consecutive years with like huge insurmountable legal debt and having to think about the future and not live your life. Literally for half a decade, you had to live there in financial turmoil as you were sued by this guy. And then you lost and your views got cut in half. And your saving grace is the fact that you don't make enough money
Nicholas,
to actually owe him anything. That's not a win, dude. You look like a fucking bitch by making this video. And it's extremely embarrassing.
At
Thank
Billy
you.
Mitchell.
At least now me and Billy have something in common. In fact,
yeah, okay, there it is.
I would even consider us kindred spirits. Billy and I share a special bond. We both live in houses entirely owned by our wives.
So then what's the win here?
Recently, Billy put out a
just started insulting me viciously on Twitter.
At Billy
Video.
Mitchell just watched the Karl video. So sorry to hear about how upset you are about your recent massive generational winning tour. Keep trudging through. God bless, brother. Folded hands.
Oh my god. Well, you just pulled the "we're not so different, you and I." Yeah, unironically. It's
titled
insane.
A Statement from Billy Mitchell, Karl Jobst. In the video, Billy discusses various things. Of course, it's full of lies as per usual, but he spends a good amount of time discussing my GoFundMe.
He makes a really compelling argument, and I'm very actually excited to hear his defense to this, because he makes a pretty compelling argument.
And what he says in the video is very interesting. It's incredibly dishonest, but I'm actually glad he came out with this video because it gives me
Nicholas,
Thank
you for the $5, my man.
perfect opportunity to let the public know details that have never been made public before.
By the time Mr. Jobst had lost his financial backing from Notch, Notch's money was exhausted, he had failed to dismiss the case, he needed money, and he needed money now. But he knew his viewers may not open wallets if he was transparent about the true subject of the lawsuit. Here's what he does. On November 4th, 2022, he reaches back 6 months to May of 2022, pulls out an old legal correspondent.
All right, what he's saying here in this video, because I remember this, basically what happened is he pulls out that, so Notch was paying for Karl's lawsuit for a really long period of time, but at one point they had gone quiet, and Karl was then responsible for his own bills, or so we thought, basically. So around that time frame, Karl had posted this GoFundMe where he said it would go for the upcoming lawsuit that Billy has sent to me, which was apparently 6 months prior when it was sent, and any other lawsuit, right? Where he was very specific as to what that second crazy lawsuit would be. But Billy pointed out that this was months old and it looked like he had this in his back pocket and used it when he needed it. So that was the allegation that Billy had made.
That never received follow-up, and he creates a GoFundMe campaign on the premise.
And he argues that it's misleading because it was that Karl had reason to believe, I guess, that he wasn't being sued the second time by that point.
That he urgently needs financial support for a potential second lawsuit. Karl, I do not accept the fact that you generally woke up 6 months after the last correspondence and also after your financial support ran out from Notch, and you suddenly felt the need to crowdfund.
Now, all Karl has to show to debunk this theory that Billy put forward is that Notch was paying him during this time period.
For a potential second lawsuit. You obviously knew the second lawsuit was not coming. Or at the very least, you were unsure if it ever was.
Billy seems to be claiming that I knew Billy was never going to file any further lawsuits after his original complaint, and that it was all just a scheme to raise money under false pretenses. The way Billy talks about things always seems to make sense upon first glance. That's what makes Billy such a great con artist. If you have no context or any knowledge on the topic he is discussing, it's easy to believe what he says. But when you break the things he says down piece by piece and examine them in greater detail, you will always find that he is completely full of shit. So let's go through Billy's statements and break them down piece by piece.
On May 10th, 2022, Mr. Jobst published a video about me that led my lawyers to send a concern notice to his lawyers. On May 22nd, 2022, Mr. Jobst and I were scheduled for mandatory mediation in the already existing lawsuit.
Okay.
One and only lawsuit. Before the mediation, my lawyers emailed his lawyers a copy of a legal complaint related to the concerns notice, and my lawyers said that I would proceed with the complaint unless the current lawsuit.
All he needs to show is correspondence not 6 months old that proves a second lawsuit was imminent, that too.
Resolved at the mediation.
This is truly amazing. Billy is admitting that his lawyer sent me a second complaint for a new lawsuit and is admitting that his lawyer advised my lawyers that it would be filed if the existing lawsuit did not resolve, which obviously it did not. So far, this is true. But what's astonishing is that for the past 2 years, Billy has been saying that the second complaint never existed at all, and I was lying about the entire.
Didn't he show the second complaint in the video? Well, it wasn't a complaint. I'm getting the words mixed up. What was the... So he had sent... Is the complaint just like a cease and desist? This is where I'm kind of out of my element. It was never filed. Got it.
Our thing. In July 2023, in a public...
My understanding is that it's the difference between sending someone a cease and desist or filing a lawsuit. It's probably a bit more nuanced than that. But like, if something isn't filed, then it hasn't... Like, it's not actually a lawsuit that's in the courts.
Grant, Billy
he wrote it and never filed it.
Said that I was lying about the second complaint and that there was only ever one complaint.
But then you go on there and you say he's suing me again. He puts up nothing, no proof, anything.
And my question back then, and I don't really remember my answer, was Karl, well, no, he wasn't crowdfunding because Notch was paying for it. The question is whether you think it's like fair or not to crowdfund based off a lawsuit that you haven't heard of for over 6 months that was never actually filed on you. Or if people can look into that and kind of look at the time frame, specifically with the Notch money and stuff, and wonder if that had, like, there was ulterior motives there.
That he's being sued again. Nothing. There is one complaint in there, and that's the original complaint.
Now he finally admits there was indeed a second complaint that was sent to us, and we were advised that it would be filed if the first lawsuit didn't resolve. I am very happy that Billy is finally willing to admit this.
The current lawsuit did not resolve, but I chose not to begin a second lawsuit, even though my lawyers felt that the second claim was meritorious.
Yeah, so at this point, it becomes a semantic debate.
But
like, if he showcases something that's closer to that time frame, I think it would be much more charitably received.
Developments occurred after May 22nd relating to that concerns notice and the complaint emailed to Mr. Jobs' lawyer. The complaint was not filed. The complaint...
Did he just lie? Who lied?
Was not...
I completely missed it. What?
Not served. My lawyers did not email Mr. Jobs' lawyers.
He said it would be filed. Hold on.
Now he finally admits there was indeed a second complaint that was sent to us, and we were advised that it would be filed if the first lawsuit didn't resolve.
I don't think that's a lie. I think that's what it said initially 6 months prior. But then he pulled it out 6 months later when he supposedly needed it, and that's why people are making that theory.
And instructed his lawyer to tell us that he had instructions to file the second complaint and begin a second lawsuit, and then changed his mind, but didn't tell us. That is effectively what Billy is saying.
But, like, wouldn't it be your lawyer's job to know what you're being sued for? What? If nothing happens in 6 months, wouldn't you, like, inquire or something? Like, you'd inquire to your lawyer to know you're not being sued for that second thing, right?
And as I showed earlier, at this time, May 22nd.
Yeah, Karl's not really discussing the time frame aspect, which is why people had that theory to begin with.
2022.
He covers it later?
The funds
okay, I'm
that
sorry.
Mr. Notch gave to Mr. Jobs ran dry.
This is also true. Notch stopped funding my legal fees
okay.
in early 2022.
In July of 2022, Mr. Jobs submitted an application to the court of what effectively amounted as a Hail Mary attempt to dismiss the lawsuit. That didn't pan out for him.
This is such a ridiculous lie that I'm shocked even Billy Mitchell would say something this stupid. But I guess all of these years later he can still impress me. Billy shows a document on screen and claims that I submitted an application attempting to dismiss the lawsuit. What he's showing on screen is an order from the judge. Let's take that same document and scroll it down slightly to see what it says. It says the plaintiff, aka Billy, will further provide security for the defendant's costs of the proceedings Misleading in the amount of $15,000. So what is Billy going on about? This has nothing to do with dismissing the case. In July 2020...
Wait, whoa, hold on. I'm completely lost. Wait, whoa.
Billy shows a document on screen and claims that I submitted an application attempting to dismiss the lawsuit. What he's showing on screen...
Wait, dismiss the second lawsuit or the first lawsuit? Because you can't dismiss a lawsuit that was never filed.
...is an order from the judge. Let's take that same document and scroll...
The Hail Mary was him moving to dismiss the case in the event that I couldn't pay security. Read the description under the one. Yeah, I remember that part.
It down slightly to see what it says. It says the plaintiff, aka Billy, will further provide security for the defendant's...
And again, it's just like Billy... It's like Karl lied by omission. Jobst is running around like policing law. It's also very funny in that regard too. Like, I mean, people absolutely have the right to speculate, and I don't even think he'd disagree with me on that, about his motivations of that second GoFundMe, considering he literally was posting articles that he showed in this video that were describing the lawsuit incorrectly. In his own coverage of the lawsuits.
They proceed.
So it's like, what moral high ground are we... Is Karl's position here to try to prove that he is as bad as he claims Billy Mitchell is? And that they're both equally bad with each other?
In the amount of $15,000. So what is Billy going on about? This has nothing to do with dismissing the case. In July 2022, we submitted an application to require Billy to put down more money as security in the event he loses the lawsuit.
He's claiming that I said the actual motion was a motion to dismiss. I was very specific in my wording.
Billy is not
That's what Billy just said.
Australian citizen, and as such, recovery of any money would be more difficult. So we made the court require him to put up extra money as bond because he refused. And the judge agreed with us and forced him to pay an extra $15,000.
But wasn't what they asked for significantly larger and they settled on a much smaller $15,000 number? Wasn't it like $100 and something thousand?
$1,000. What does this have to do with dismissing the lawsuit? It has nothing to do with
He asked for $50,000. That's what it was. I remember that.
Dismissing the lawsuit. Billy just puts this random order on screen, cuts off the bottom right where it shows what the order is about, and claims I made an application to dismiss the lawsuit. It's just a huge lie.
By the time Mr. Jobst had lost his financial backing from Notch's money was exhausted.
Like, I'll be honest, if I think that Karl has adequately disproved this theory, I will say so. The jury is still out on this one based off of everything I've seen.
He had failed to dismiss the case. He needed money, and he needed money now. But he knew his viewers may not open wallets if he was transparent about the true subject of the lawsuit. Here's what he...
Because I gotta be honest, that's my personal belief. Like, I think that.
He does. On November 4th, 2022, he reaches back 6 months to May of 2022, pulls out an old legal correspondent that never received follow-up, and he creates a GoFundMe campaign on the premise that he urgently needs financial support for a potential second lawsuit.
Like, did he reach back 6 months ago for a lawsuit that wasn't filed at a time when he didn't have money coming in from Notch to pay his legal bills? If so, I don't think that's definitive proof, just to be clear, but I think it's like, I wouldn't blame anyone for speculating motivations at that point, because there's enough there to kind of come to a conclusion, or come to your own conclusion, where it not be completely baseless and accusatory.
Karl,
he talks about it I mean, you keep saying that, but the arguments that he's placing here aren't really doing it.
I do not accept the fact that you generally woke
Karl
up.
is like literally agreeing to the part of it specifically about like him not having like the money at that point.
6 months after the last correspondence.
And it's also significant because he's portrayed himself as like a poverty-stricken loser for the rest of this video. So are we supposed to believe that he's actually Mr. Moneybag? Like Mr. Moneybag, specifically at this moment in time, he had all this money on lock, like it was coming.
And also after your financial support ran out from Notch, and you suddenly felt the need to crowdfund for a potential second lawsuit. You obviously knew the second lawsuit was not coming.
According to Billy, if you do not file a lawsuit within 6 months, it means you aren't going to file it ever.
No, but why did you choose to crowdfund it at a time where you needed money? and not disclose the fact that like I don't know, maybe he did disclose it. I don't want to say for a matter of fact that he didn't disclose it,
Sure.
but like the timing just lines up at such a weird point.
But let's take a look at Billy's history of lawsuits and
No, dude, no, you don't get to do that. No. Hold on, wait, no, that's not a rebuttal to his argument. That makes me think that you. No!
means you aren't going to file it, ever. But let's take a look at Billy's history of lawsuits and when he does actually file them. In Florida, the statute of limitations
Oh, okay, hold on. I might have preempted this. Sorry.
is 2 years for filing a defamation lawsuit. Apollo Legend made his video in February 2018. Billy Mitchell sued him exactly 2 years later in February 2020.
When was the correspondence sent through? Like when was it just like the lawsuit was filed 2 years to the day?
Jeremy Young exposed Billy's cheating by using MAME in February of 2018.
Is there anything else to that at all whatsoever?
And Billy sued him alongside Jeff Harris and Donkey Kong Forum exactly 2 years later in February 2020. Twin Galaxies banned Billy in April of 2018, and Billy sued them in Florida.
Yeah, but when were the, like, you're not telling me when they sent like the cease and desist type thing. Yeah, look at me show the other lawsuits to defend my actions in this lawsuit. Yeah, it's I don't know how this proves the argument.
Exactly 2
Yeah, when was the initial correspondence?
years later.
It doesn't matter when the video was posted. When was the initial correspondence?
In April 2020. In California, the statute of limitations is only 1 year. So in California, Billy sued Twin Galaxies exactly 1 year later in April of 2019. In almost every single defamation lawsuit Billy has ever filed, it was right before the statute of limitations expired.
Yeah, but you didn't do it.
In fact,
hold on, I'm not going to say anything. Just
the
yet, wait.
fastest lawsuit Billy ever filed was his original lawsuit against me. But even then, that was 4 months.
1, out of funding. 2, no further support from Notch. 3, conveniently runs preemptive crowdfunding campaign. 4, spends it on existing case. 5, oh, that's okay for me to do. That was what Billy Mitchell just wrote in chat.
Later, not immediately. The statute of limitations in my state is 1 year, and he has that entire year to file. This notion that if you don't file something immediately it means you aren't going to file it at all is just fucking stupid. But here is where you can tell Billy is truly evil. Billy just sits there and nonchalantly describes how he had his lawyer create a second complaint and then sent that to my lawyers and told us he would be suing us
Wait, that's what pure evil is?
again as if it's no big deal. I mean, it's just a little
This is pure evil, pure unadulterated evil.
lawsuit. What's the big fuss about? I promise you, you cannot appreciate how stressful a lawsuit is until you are sued. I could try to convey it in
Oh. Wait, this is the funniest part, because now Karl's giving the game away of the Who is Actually Mad award. Listen to what he says here.
how stressful a lawsuit is. Big fuss about. I promise you, you cannot appreciate how stressful a lawsuit is until you are sued.
Yeah, but you're actually the real winner here, because, money.
I could try to convey it in words what it's like, but it would never do it justice.
You were a slave to the lawsuit for the guy who defeated you. Like, you were a slave to your lawsuit for half a decade, and then you lost. So it was all not worth it. Like, it literally all wasn't worth it. That is like a fate. I don't know. That's a fucking... I mean, you probably were spending differently. You didn't really get to enjoy, at least this is how I view it. I mean, this is how I would feel, right? You wouldn't really get to enjoy the time you spent being a YouTuber in that time frame. Because at any point or whatever, a huge legal bill might just show up in the mail. So like, yeah, I mean, you lost like 5 years of your life to this.
It's one of the worst things you could ever go through, and it lasts for years and costs hundreds of thousands of dollars. Just ask anyone who's ever been sued. Now, what you really couldn't imagine is going through an existing lawsuit and then being told you're going to be sued again. And this wasn't just an idle threat. This was Billy's lawyer sending us the physical complaint and saying that he had instructions to file it. It was literally the most stressful thing I've ever experienced in my entire life. Billy sits there and...
Dude, Billy Mitchell wants to 1v1 Dan Saltman. Dude, the greatest legal warfare I've ever seen is about to happen. Guys, at the 1 hour mark, I think we're going to check out, probably. And we're gonna retool and come back on Wednesday. I think that's what's gonna happen here because I don't know. I think that this is an extremely long segment as it is, and there's a lot more here. So I think what we're gonna do is we're gonna get to the 1 hour mark, and we're gonna run this back.
Doesn't even realize that by him explaining that he sent a second lawsuit.
So his argument is, I didn't do what he said I did because because reasons, and also Billy is evil is kind of the rebuttal here. I get what he's saying. It's like Billy always seems to file on the last date. Here's 5 examples of when he did that. I get that part. I don't know when the initial correspondence was, which would be a better metric than when the actual content was posted, because that implies that Billy sent the initial correspondence immediately. And Billy, if you want to clarify, if you sent the correspondence immediately, that would be very helpful, because then I guess I would be able to navigate that a bit better. But ultimately, you didn't reach out when he was threatening to sue you, saying there's an imminent lawsuit. Like, you didn't pull out a crowdfunding campaign then. You pulled out the crowdfunding campaign when your money ran out in the other lawsuit. So I guess charitably you could come to the conclusion that maybe Karl legitimately did think a second lawsuit was coming and he knew he couldn't fight both of them. But I still think it's crazy if he's giving more details on the second lawsuit and saying, yeah, this is going to get funneled into the first one if he doesn't go and sue me. Which correspondence? So what I was asking for, Billy, is his arguments are, here's 5 lawsuits. You always seem to sue at like the 2-year mark, the 1-year mark, when the statute of limitations is up, right? So his argument is from date of like grievance to the legal like limit, right? As to when these things are filed. When did you send the correspondence for those lawsuits? Because something could have the statute of limitations of 2 years, and if you sent the correspondence a month before that, that would obviously completely change the context of, like, obviously you're not filing these things the day that it happens. So that would be a more apt comparison for what he's trying to convey. For his lawsuit, I sued him 3 months after the video. Yeah, no, we knew that one. I'm guessing I was wondering about the other ones, but yeah, that was the example that we used last time. Is that specifically for the lawsuit against Karl, the correspondence was done and it wasn't waiting until the very end or the statute of limitations was about to end. It was within 3 months. But that was he received the threat within 60 days of the video. Got it. Billy, we were talking about the other ones though. Like, I don't know specifically which one he put on screen. We were talking about these things, because this is his main thing, is like the Apollo Legend one. The lawsuit was filed on the 2nd of February 2020. When was the correspondence letters issued? It wasn't issued on the 2nd of 2018. And for Twin Galaxies, like, when were those filed? Because that would be I guess that would kind of shed more light on this point to see if it's like really valid or not. I sent correspondence to them years later. Yeah, that would be the kind of thing, like if you publish a response video, I know you said you're not going to publish a response video, but that would be the information to include there.
And told us that it would be filed, and then changed his mind at some point and decided not to tell me and my family, is one of the most disgusting and pure evil things he has ever done. It was an outright abuse of the legal system, and it was done just to cause as much psychological damage as possible.
I don't know that. If he's arguing that his lawyers thought he had a good case, maybe he just didn't want to put the financial assets into doing a second lawsuit. Especially when you have to consider, this is another factor that we didn't realize at the time, that this fucking Apollo Legend thing is like a fucking, there's no, like, this was like a pretty, like, not open and shut, but like they had a pretty fucking compelling argument. It's like what I tell other people when it comes to YouTube drama, right? It's like, you've got a winning argument right here. Why would you go and fuck that up? Like, why would you go and take another risk? Even if you think you're gonna win, why go take another risk? You got a pretty easy fucking win right here. Like, say if somebody's making a video on Bad Empanada. Bad Empanada is like objectively evil. You can easily make a video exposing Bad Empanada and nobody will have a problem with it. But if you go out and take like needless risks, it'll put you in a position where you might look bad, you know? Again, I haven't seen any of those hypothetical videos, so I would have to go and clarify that for myself. But you know what I mean? Like, if you have a case that you think you're going to win, And then you could explore that and decide later that you don't know if the juice is really worth the squeeze and risking a second one.
Well, congratulations, it worked. I could not handle the ongoing stress of the impending second lawsuit, so I asked the public for help.
And you were only thinking about this after?
Didn't ask immediately because I don't like asking for money.
But I don't like asking for money and I didn't help immediately. Then maybe just have somebody else create the GoFundMe. Because if it lines up, I guess, I don't know.
And I never wanted to. But the reality is that if Billy filed these...
Again, Karl is just kind of saying, like, I didn't do that because I didn't do that. And in his defense, that very well might be the case. This is literally just a theory. It's a theory backed up by the arguments, but ultimately, he's not dead to rights on this. His testimony could very well be the case.
The GOAT.
So I'm not going to count him out entirely.
Second lawsuit, we would have been financially destroyed. There was no way we could afford 2 lawsuits. And the constant stress of having to deal with multiple lawsuits...
It sounds like Billy saved you then. It sounds like Billy not filing that lawsuit was like really awesome.
hanging above not just my head, but my wife's...
Why is this second lawsuit financially destructive and then your wife's head and all this stuff? But your wife is the head of the household now.
That as well was too much, and I eventually created a GoFundMe to alleviate the stress.
You obviously knew the second lawsuit was not coming. Or at the very least, you were unsure if it ever was.
And that's a huge factor to this. It's like, yeah, you literally can, without any information further, criticize Karl Jobst for crowdfunding a lawsuit that wasn't filed yet. Like, that's something that he's not really able to dispute here. I think that your criticism is valid if you're going to criticize Karl Jobst for crowdfunding a lawsuit that literally wasn't filed. I think that's a fair assessment. I don't know. I've had people threaten to sue me all the time. I'm not crowdfunding based off of it.
You created a GoFundMe campaign with the knowledge...
Like, it was super embarrassing when, like... I don't know. Denims was suing somebody. It's not really exactly the same.
And intent to fund the existing lawsuit on false premises. Period. End of paragraph.
Billy asserts he doesn't believe I ever thought it was ever coming. Well, apparently he was pretty convincing, because it wasn't just me who thought that, it was my lawyers as well. Now, do me a favor, and quickly read this Discord exchange. Do you think I'm telling the truth here, or joking? What about now? Do you think I'm being serious or joking around? If you can't tell and you see me say something dumb on Discord, assume I'm joking, because usually I am. There is a big difference between...
What? Wait. Alright, sure. When it comes to the ChatGPT shit, I could believe that. But, like, you're kind of blanketing Discord shit at a time when you were, like, sieve moding, right? Oh no, maybe this is earlier? When did Karl lose? Hold on. Karl, I lost. Actually, this might be beforehand. Yeah, he lost in April. This is in March. This is right before the verdict.
Talking shit on Discord with friends and the real world. I always say stupid things on Discord. It's my way of having fun. But people, whether it be bad faith or not, always take it seriously. Everything you say...
Alright, if we're talking about purely before the lawsuit and criticizing past statements, this is fine. If we're talking about post-lawsuit loss, when he's sitting there talking about how he's gonna fucking appeal, you're out of your mind.
Always 100% serious. Have you ever made a joke? Have you ever used sarcasm? Have you ever been facetious? Imagine if you weren't allowed to joke around and everything you ever said was always taken literally. That's basically what people have been doing to me for the past several months, and honestly, for years. But what Billy and the public doesn't know is that before I launched the GoFundMe, and before I released that video, I did send the script to my lawyers to make sure it was all correct and above board. This is the email I sent them on the 27th of October 2022. They replied the next day on the 28th, advising me they had highlighted the words they were concerned with.
But I don't understand. If you're I don't think he's accusing you of, like, fraud, is he?
My lawyers weren't as...
He's saying that you're a snake. He's making, like, an argument to say that you kind of snaked your audience. And I think he made a pretty compelling argument as to why that could be the case. not saying that it's impossible that your version of events is true. I don't think he's accusing you of fraud.
As deluded as me. So as you can see, they had problems with me calling Billy's lawsuits frivolous or saying that he had no case. And they also didn't like me insulting Billy either. But when it came to describing the
Did you listen to your lawyers?
second lawsuit or my
It's like my lawyer said that I have done nothing wrong. Okay, like,
GoFundMe, they had no issues whatsoever because everything I said.
Dude, remember when it's so this is the version of Karl's video. Like, remember in Billy's video, he cites the judge basically saying that Karl is like a tremendous asshole. This is that, but like instead of having the judge, he has his own lawyer that he pays extremely large amounts of money to. Obviously, the lawyers aren't going to lie or anything like that. It's just like, my lawyer said that this was totally above board. It's like, okay, cool.
Was true, and Billy now admits it. He did send me a second complaint. He did say he was going to.
Yeah, this crowdfunding thing was never a legal. Well, that's not true. People definitely did make that argument, but I don't think that reasonable people were making that argument.
File it, and I really don't give a fuck what decisions he and his lawyer made after that point because they never told us. After I released the GoFundMe, Billy's lawyer sent us a letter attaching photos of the GoFundMe and asking why I was crowdfunding upon the basis that Billy had instituted a second defamation claim against me.
And what about the part where Karl kind of just turned around a month later and he goes, he's dropped the second suit? If it's never been filed, how was it? Was it all right? Maybe drop was. I don't want to say that for a matter of fact if he didn't use the word dropped, but that was the implication that I understood.
Lawyers responded to this letter, saying, with respect, your correspondence clearly misunderstands the basis of our client's recent publication and misstates the words used by him. Our client does not say a second defamation proceeding has been commenced, rather that proceedings were sent to him. This is a factual statement having regard to your correspondence of 10th of May 2022.
Yeah, but it was 6 months later.
No point.
Okay, I think you understand my argument.
Point in time has your client withdrawn the threat of commencing the proceedings foreshadowed in your correspondence.
But what did Karl say about
of 10th of May 2022? Now consider this. Billy knows I just made a video saying that he said he was going to sue me for a second time, and I was raising money on that basis. My lawyers have even confirmed to his lawyer that what I said was factual and that it was their actions that are causing this. And according to Billy's latest video, by this point in time, Billy had already changed his mind and instructed his lawyer not to proceed. You would think that Billy's lawyer might respond to this letter and to let us know that we were incorrect if he really wasn't going to sue us. But no, Billy's lawyer did not respond at all. You would think if Billy had changed his mind and wasn't really going to sue me again, that he might want to let the public know that this was not true.
Didn't he do that? I thought he literally went and did a fucking thing where they interviewed him and he went on a whole rant about how he was never suing you the second time and that you crowdfunded all the money. Didn't he actually, or was that just not fast enough for you?
I mean, according to Billy, I was lying and scamming.
He's about to play the clip.
The public. But no, not a single word. All Billy's lawyer had to do was spend 2 minutes drafting a response saying, yes, I know we sent you a second complaint and said we were going to sue you, but my client has now changed his mind. That's all he needed to say. But no, despite this massive fraud that was apparently being perpetrated...
Yeah, I don't know. I don't think Billy ever accused you of that being fraud. Did he ever do that? I apologize if he did.
No. You see, if
I don't
Billy's
think that
lawyer
I don't think that was his argument.
Had responded letting us know that Billy wasn't going to sue us, then I would need to inform the public. If they let me know the second lawsuit was never going to happen...
Yeah, I just searched the first video for the word fraud and it doesn't come up. But ultimately there could be other terms that are comparable that I'm not seeing here.
And I didn't tell my donors, that might be considered unethical. At least at that point I could have offered refunds. I mean, just the relief of knowing the second lawsuit...
Why would you have to offer refunds if you specified that it rolls over to the first lawsuit? Technically, they would have been met, right? And then inevitably you did let people know that, but you didn't refund them then.
It was no longer coming would have caused me to just cancel the GoFundMe completely. I might have done another GoFundMe at a later stage, but the basis for that crowdfunding would obviously be different. Instead, because Billy couldn't be bothered telling me or anyone else on the planet that he wasn't going to sue me, we had to wait another 6 months until the statute of limitations expired to know that he wasn't going
Oh, that would explain why he made that statement?
to sue. And of course, by that stage, I had already withdrawn the money from the GoFundMe and started
Okay, I understand that.
using it to cover legal fees, which is exactly what I said I would use the money for in my video. Maybe if I was the only variable...
But then ultimately, why would you refund it then? Like, it doesn't make sense as to why you'd refund it if that was explicitly why you crowdfunded it in the first place.
in this whole mess, I could battle my way through it alone, but unfortunately, this affects my entire family too, and psychologically and financially, some help would really benefit not only me, but them as well. So I have set up a GoFundMe to help with my fight against
Well,
Billy.
it turns out his family didn't need any of that money at all, and that Billy Mitchell actually lost all this money that was supposed to go to him or whatever. So, I mean... It turns out this wasn't even a problem.
Mitchell, and any help would be immensely appreciated. This GoFundMe is set to cover the rest of my existing lawsuit, plus the new lawsuit that Billy Mitchell says he will be filing, plus having to deal with all of the other bullshit threats that come my way. Billy didn't correct me or advise me he had changed his mind because he wanted me to believe that he was going to sue me. Billy uses the legal system as a weapon. He wanted to inflict as much stress as possible, and unfortunately this strategy works. And then guess what Billy does as soon as the statute of limitations expires? He makes a speech.
Oh, okay, so that's after the statute of limitations. All right, that would make more sense then. I understand where he's coming from there.
At a convention denying the second complaint ever existed. And his proof the second complaint never existed is that if you search for it in the court filings, you won't find it.
But then you go on there and you say he's suing me again.
Well, it didn't because he didn't file it, yeah.
He puts up nothing, no proof, anything that he's being sued again. Nothing. There is one complaint in there, and that's the original complaint. So when the attorney sends his attorney a letter and says, your client is fraudulently claiming that we filed a second and third lawsuit against him, you know, that is not right. It's called a letter of concern.
All right, where is this actual thing? Because 6 months should line up, right? Karl Jobst lawsuit. Let me look at this. My final lawsuit update. Karl Jobst lawsuit GoFundMe. Let me see here. All right, so 200,000 Australian. It was done on August 19th, 2023 was the update, but the actual page, I'm not seeing a date here. See all, see top. Is there like an inspect element that I can look to timeline it? No. Does anyone have the... Oh, I could find the YouTube video that linked it, and that would give me a timeline. Karl Jobst Legal Defense Fund. Billy Mitchell has gone insane. I need your help. So the GoFundMe goes up on November 5th, 2022. Right? That's when this is happening. So November 5th, 2022. May 7th, 2022 is when the thing was published. So 1 year later would be the 7th of May, 2023. And I assume what we're going to see for the update is that it'll very much be May. So he updates it in August of 2023 after the statute of limitations has ended. Okay.
Okay. He starts a GoFundMe because the bad boy is suing him again. He needs money.
Wait, if Billy files on the deadline like Karl said, why would he have to wait 6 months for the statute of limitations? Why not start the GoFundMe then? I mean, that's still a very fair argument. My answer to that is because that's when his money ran out from Notch, but again, I mean, I don't know. Listen, this is not a case where you've got Karl red-handed, but this is essentially just a theory.
And you are so silly, you hear what he says, and you donate money without any knowledge or any background. And the GoFundMe is at $150,000. $30,000 for the video. You give him $180,000 based upon a lie.
Obviously.
Now, where does this third lawsuit come from? Billy is threatening like a third. Well, it's not even a third. Billy is threatening more lawsuits. Has that been substantiated that more lawsuits were threatened? Because I haven't seen that.
You won't find it in the court filings because Billy never filed it. This was always known. And he claims that I said he filed a second and third lawsuit against him, which of course I never did. In my video, I said.
So when he says backing out of the second lawsuit, I guess the wording of that is like he decided not to file it, which I guess fair. But I don't know. So it's not, it's like, but like the second lawsuit never existed. It was a concerns notice. The correct verbiage of that would be Billy didn't file the second lawsuit, or at least that's how my layman term would describe it.
That Billy said he was planning to file it against me. This GoFundMe is set to cover the rest of my existing lawsuit, plus the new lawsuit that Billy Mitchell says he will be filing. Shortly after I created the GoFundMe, Charlie made a video talking about Billy's new threats.
Oh, dude, we got Mudahar and Charlie so far. Not really a good vote of confidence here.
And he described the situation perfectly.
This is one of the most baffling reasons for a lawsuit I think I've probably ever heard in general. Now, as I understand it, the second lawsuit hasn't been fully filed yet. Right now, it is still in the letter of intent stage, where...
And again, I just think it's weird to I think it's weird to crowdfund off a lawsuit that hasn't been filed yet. But maybe my perspective would change if I was already being sued.
They are intending to sue Karl and have sent him the documents to indicate such, but it looks like it is going to be sent in the coming days.
What's wrong with Charlie? Well, the fact that Charlie's just kind of like a journeyman drama channel who just kind of covers shit that's like popular, but realistically isn't really locked into any of these subjects specifically. It's like the Mudaharian daily commentary. Ooh boy, me Mudahar here. It's master of none, jack of all topics. With the exception of like Mudahar's deep dives into like the Club Penguin scandal and stuff. Most of this is just like, ooh boy, me Mudahar here.
In response to this, Karl made another video going over...
I'm not like attacking Charlie or saying I hate Charlie. He's just not the guy I'd go to, I guess, get like anything other than like a surface level retelling of the video that I just watched.
Just how silly it all is, but also how expensive everything is. And he set up a GoFundMe because he's right now getting dual hand jobs here from Billy Mitchell with the double lawsuit coming in. So he does have a GoFundMe, which I'm going to link below. Please feel free to support him if you'd like to help Karl against an absolutely ruthless villain here.
I will say, just to be clear, and you can get mad at me all you want about this, I don't think Karl is completely unhinged if he does this based off of what he showed here. I don't know if I'm sold that his version of events is legitimate for that one. But I'm telling you, I'm still not, the timeline is still wonky for me. The timeline of it being as soon as he ran out of money from the Notch stuff is still just like in the back of my head.
He clearly says the second lawsuit isn't filed yet, just that they are intending to, and he promotes my GoFundMe on that basis. This video received almost 7 million views, and there was never an issue. From my perspective, I thought everything was quite clear. I sent the script to my lawyers, made sure everything was fine, they said it was fine, we responded to Bill.
Like, this is a fairly decent rebuttal to that.
Billy's lawyer immediately explaining why the GoFundMe was made, after which they never responded or informed us the information was incorrect. Billy never made a public statement saying that what I was saying was wrong, and when Charlie made his video, which received 7 times more views than my video, he explained what was happening exactly as it was, and there was no uproar or backlash or any issue with money being raised on that basis. This only seems to be a problem now, 3 years later, after I lost the lawsuit.
Yeah, so someone just wrote, it wouldn't be an issue if he started the GoFundMe when he got the notice, the weird timeline that raises eyebrows for me. That's kind of what I'm seeing here. It's more like, when you get sued or when you get the notice, the 6 months at like a specifically opportune time when you don't know if you're going to have enough money for the first lawsuit can, I guess, kind of like include a conflict of interest or something here for sure. But it's not enough to definitively say he did that. And again, I in his shoes don't know what I would do. Maybe I would crack and be like, I gotta get fucking. I gotta crowdfund this, dude. I have no idea what I'm doing. And again, there's also the scenario where both of these examples are true. Maybe Karl didn't think he was really being sued, but then got really nervous when those checks stopped coming in, and then it was like, oh man. So I just had this fucking billionaire pay for my lawsuits, and now he's not paying for my one lawsuit. And Billy 6 months ago said he's gonna fucking sue me again. And I don't have enough money for one lawsuit, and I know I'm not gonna have enough money for 2 lawsuits, so I'm gonna fucking make this GoFundMe. That also could be a factor where it wouldn't be necessarily weird, I guess. I don't know.
And there is a giant smear campaign going on against me.
That's fine, but be honest with your audience and the people donating. Well, again, he was very specific about what that second lawsuit was. No, that was something he was much more specific in. When the first one, he wasn't very specific at all. Where it wasn't as specific as the second one. And that kind of tells me he thinks the second one is a much different type of situation. But again, it wouldn't be different if he thought the entire time that he was going to win this Apollo Legend thing. And if he was as confident as he seems to want to claim he was at times.
Here's the problem. Mr. Jobst testified under oath at trial, quote, "I don't believe anything Billy..."
All right. This is where we're going to cut it. We're at 107 here. We're going to come back. This is a new topic, so we just finished that stuff. Yeah, I think that 1 was kind of I think that 2 was completely ridiculous. 3, again, I don't know what 2 and 3 really got us to there. I'm not really sure what the point of those segments were. 4, Billy was a moron. I guess this was the one where he was targeting his his hot sauce business and his family. I was weird. The GoFundMe was not a scam was like the most compelling segment yet. I think that 5 was probably 5 is the only one where I'm like, okay, I understand why this segment is in the video, and I'm glad that you have responded to the allegation, and you gave a reasonable perspective on it. So we're gonna do 6, 7, 8, and Lust tomorrow. Not tomorrow. Wednesday. And yeah, I'm looking forward to that. So I guess the video is kind of in an upswing here. Karl could have said, hey guys, I might be sued a second time. I mean, there's a million things that Karl could have done, but ultimately he needed the money. And I think that could be criticized, or it could be looked past depending on your mileage of how being sued could have affected him at that time. Right? You're going to show up in 8? What do you mean? Oh no, I'm actually not in. I don't think I'm in 8. I looked at that. The Lust part is the best. I will look forward to that then. Speaking of money, anyone have anything they can give? People have been super generous to me tonight. So yeah, I think, and listen, Billy, if you want to talk about any of this on stream, if you're still here, I'd be happy to set up a time with you and chat with you about it. But yeah, I mean, this has been odd. This video has been odd. I don't know. I by 1 hour into this video, I see a decent rebuttal from Karl that is bogged down by significant amounts of hubris. And it kind of sucks. You know what I mean? There's a genuine apology that could have been made in here. All the pieces are there. Just a couple extra words that you got to add in. And then some decent rebuttals to some points that he might not agree with that people were sharing. It's just it just feels like a lot of sour grapes and sore loser behavior. And I guess he said from the very beginning that he was not going to be a very good winner. And I think he's proven that he's not really a good loser either. It's way better than his last video. I would say it's way better than the I Lost video, but that's not really a good metric to go by. You know, it's like when Dark Viper said, you can put a hat on a turd, but it's still a turd. Now it's just a turd wearing a hat. Yeah, I don't know. Look, I'm trying to be as fair as I can with this, and I'm trying to look up shit as we go. I'm not claiming to be perfect on this, because there's a lot of fucking details, and a lot of the legal stuff goes above my head, so I sincerely apologize if there's anything that I've missed. But yeah, I mean, again, like 2 of these sections of the video are just like attacking Billy's character and bragging that you don't owe him any money and saying that that's why you're the real winner. So I don't really need to know about the law. It's a kind of like it's literally just a you're not mad, I'm mad. Also, your fucking family has been tarnished by your divorce scandal. So I mean, I don't really know how to engage with that. It just seems extremely bizarre. Yeah, I don't know. Les apologized to Karl. It's a little bit worse than that, buddy. We'll check that out. We're going to check that out in the next stream. But in the meantime, ladies and gentlemen, I'm going to get some donos and I'm going to get out of her pretty early tonight.